Well, we get it rolling on the Krug Show. That was history. History in the making. Mark it down, folks. April 30th, 2023. It was a beautiful afternoon in the Bay Area, and Steph Curry did something historic. I felt like, guys, we tonight we watched Joe Montana in Super Bowl 23. Everybody in the joint knew he had to step up in the moment, and the Hall of Famer steps up in the moment. It wasn't that we're watching a good quarterback. It wasn't that we were watching a great quarterback. We were watching an all-time great, and that's what we saw today, an all-time great. 50 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists on a career-high 38 attempts. He said, fellas, jump aboard my back. Clay's having a bad day. Wiggins can't hit a 2-footer. I will do this. I will carry us. 20 of 38 from the field, 7 of 18 from 3, 50 on the road in Game 7, and the worst NBA road team wins on the road in Game 7 and vanquishes the Sacramento Kings. There will be no beam tonight. This is a day that I'm just really glad that I've got a YouTube channel and a lot of good friends, and we welcome them in to the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show, brought to you by Pig and a Pickle. Check them out, 2 locations, Corte Madera, Emeryville. More on that in a bit. But Carl Foster joins us today. Bay Area Ballers in the house. Frank Red is with us. Cy will be with us. JD, Danny, and Rye. It's going to be a big old soiree. Gentlemen, what a game. What a performance. It was history, and I'm just thrilled that we're going to get a chance to do this show and talk all about it. Who wants to go first? That was an epic performance from Steph Curry.
Steph was not going to let this team lose today. He wasn't. Like you said, Larry put the team on his back. He was exceptional, hitting threes from all over the court. I loved how he was also attacking the rim, and he was finishing. He was phenomenal. And we got to mention Kevon Looney. I mean, tonight during the broadcast, they alluded to how this is Kevon Looney's third 20-rebound performance. The only time this has been done, Wilt Chamberlain, Nate Thurmond. So whenever you're mentioned amongst 2 Hall of Famers like those guys, you're doing something special. Looney was an absolute monster. He's been a monster all year, and he's really took it to another level against Sacramento. So the Warriors had the 2 best players on the court tonight, Stephen Curry, Kevon Looney. And those 2, they were not going to let this team lose. What do you guys think? Carl, why don't you haven't been here in a long time. I know you're chomping at the bit.
Oh man, this
first of all, great to see you, Carl. It's been a while. It's been a couple months. We last year during the playoffs, we had so much fun getting your analysis and talking ball with you, and it's just dude, any day that me and you can sit there and chop it up and talk basketball, whether it be the draft, the Warriors when they suck, when they're on top, or this incredible day. Thrilled to see you, man. Go ahead. Give me what you thought of Game 7.
Hey, this is one of those games, Larry, where we're going to track the date. We're going to remember where we were on April 30th, 2023, because Wardell Stephen Curry II just took a leap. He decided, I need to elevate past some guys that have done legendary things in Game 7s. We all know that the Warriors had a Game 7 history in Oakland where they had one of the most crushing moments of all time. I happened to be at that Game 7. I never will forget the look on the faces of so many of the fans as you walked out of the arena. And tonight, that's the look that the Sacramento Kings fans are going to have. They had an incredible season, but Wardell said, hey, it's time to send you guys home, let the kids go get some sleep so they can get up for school in the morning, because it's time for the adults to go handle some business in the second round of the NBA playoffs.
Definitely felt like, you kind of questioned the whole thing at many points in this series. Whose time is it? At the end of the day, right? It's like we can talk about all the different angles on the game, and we will. But it's like, whose time is it? Is it the Kings' time, or is it still the Warriors' time? And that's one of the reasons I kept going with the Warriors, because I do believe it's still very much the Warriors' time. Red, what'd you think?
Um, I get I get nostalgic because, as we've all stated early on, this is one of the greatest performances that we will ever see in our lifetime. And we might not remember the stats. I mean, 50 is an easy number to remember, but we will remember the performance and probably the number because it's 50. But I mean, all of these great players are searching for this moment. I mean, Michael Jordan is somewhere on a yacht or in a mansion with a cigar with a big smile on his face that he has not had in many years. The Magic Johnsons, the Larry Birds of the world, the Pistol Peace, the Kobe Bryants in heaven. This was an homage to those guys because without those guys, Steph couldn't have this moment. The NBA is at its height right now. And on a Sunday afternoon before the world, to have a scintillating performance like this for the Warrior fans, but basketball fans, it's just awesome for me to watch and be a part of. And now sitting here talking to everyone is just awesome. He was fantastic. And again, this was Steve Kerr's signature moment also. There's 19 things that he did perfectly to put his team in a position to have success. And we're going to talk about it this afternoon, but there's so many subplots to this game, and this performance it's Jordan-like. Yo, man, I mean, this guy is the greatest player of his generation, and he's knocking on Michael Jordan's door. All right.
And the question, Red, not to interrupt you, but Stephen A. I don't know if you were watching any of Stephen A. on the post game with Wilbon and the fellas. Basically brought up the question: is Steph the best point guard of all time? He's talking about his impact on the game, and right. This is I will say this: these arguments get a little cliched, but I'll say this: if you want to have this debate, it's a great day to have it. It's a great day to have it. Game 7 on the road, dropping 50 when the rest of your guys, basically outside of Looney, were like, MIA. And you had to, and it was, and I counted it in the fourth quarter. I'm like, I'm going to put a line in my sheet here as I'm taking notes. Every made bucket, because when the money is on the line, and the Warriors were up 10 going to the fourth, but when the money's on the table, it's hard. You guys get tight. How tight did Wiggins get today? Oh my God! How many bunnies did he miss? Right. 2-footers. It was like Klay Thompson had a nightmarish shooting day, but then came alive with the big third quarter and the fourth big four-point play. But Looney, Curry, just spectacular. The stat before Dan Coach Emilio, by the way, joining us. Danny, good to see you. Warriors. This is the stat that to me was the defining stat, because the game ends after four quarters, but the Warriors led by 10 going to the fourth. They won this in the third quarter. 22-9 Golden State on the glass in the third quarter. 22-9, and Mike Brown called a timeout. And this is the beautiful part about modern television. They're just we're right in the huddle. We have so much more than we had in the 80s. But we hear Mike Brown saying to his guys, they want it more than us. On the offensive glass, on the 50-50 balls, they want it more than us. And he was telling his team, and damn if he wasn't right. I mean, the Warriors took this thing like a champion in the third quarter. It was, the one thing I am really happy about is that nobody's going to walk out of there going, you know what, the Kings should have won except for, Foster and the refs. I hate the ref talk, and I'm just so glad that today was just like, there's no ref talk. It was Looney having an all-time series. He had 20-plus rebounds in 3 games in this series. But it was Steph Curry, the best player on the floor, taking it over with the money on the table. It was almost like you were watching a scripted movie. I mean, it was just I felt, it's like, what is Joe Montana's greatest game? It may have been Super Bowl 23. Why? Because we knew he was going to do it. Everybody expected him to do it, and then he went out and did it. And the same thing I could say about Steph Curry in this moment, guys. It's like, it's not like we didn't see it coming. We knew it was time for Steph to take over. I almost tweeted in the beginning of the fourth quarter, I don't want anybody else to shoot the basketball in the fourth except for Steph. I need him to take it over. And he did. And then we also got a glimpse into Steph Curry, the babyface assassin, is really a killer. And you saw that at the end. You know, he's as steely and as icy a competitor as Jordan, as Joe Montana, as Derek Jeter, as any of the greats. And we saw it last year in Boston, but we got a little glimpse of that when he was putting the dagger in the Kings here. It was stunning. It was absolutely stunning to watch. Anybody jump in, feel free.
So what happened? I was watching the Giants game. Did they win? Oh, man. I tell you, I just Curry is just, people argue whether he belongs in the top 10. They ought to be talking about top 5. Jeez, the guy's unbelievable. Just unbelievable. And he's still going strong at 35. Just refuses to lose. But I just want to say this because, I've been on the show a lot and we've listened, and, Cy and I have had differences, and he's ripped Kerr a lot all year. And I talked to my brother and he said, why do you think the Warriors are the best team in the last 8 years in third quarter? Who's making the adjustments? It's Steve Kerr and his staff. Steve Kerr is an all-time great. He's an all-time great. Yes, he's had to juggle this year. But these guys, he had them ready to play today. He had them ready to play Friday night, but they weren't ready. He told them, don't take these guys lightly. And I think, the way he coached, the way you heard him on the sideline, I've got 4 timeouts left. I may take a timeout. He managed Steph's minutes so well today, and he was going to have fresh. If that game was closer, Steph would have been very fresh in the fourth quarter because of the way he plotted this game. So I'd like to give kudos to Kerr because the guy's won 4 NBA titles as a coach. Was it 5 as a player? Olympic gold medal as an assistant coach. He's just an all-time great, and I just think the Warriors are pretty amazing. I wouldn't be. He's
a great sense of his team. He knows what he needs. You're right, Danny, totally about the minutes because he was very conservative with Curry's minutes early in the series, maybe even a little bit too conservative. But you get the minutes. You don't play him early. You can play him late. Steph had the juice when he needed it. It was absolutely incredible to watch. I loved that timeout as well. We got the glimpse into Kerr saying, "Hey, Steph, look, I'm going to call timeouts. I'm gonna, I can do this. You motion to me. You communicate to me. We can get through. Basically knowing, hey, you know what? Wiggins is going to come up tight. Clay's not having a good night. Poole can never be trusted. Draymond, you don't want shooting. Looney's not an offensive player. Who's left? You know what I mean? Who is left? They literally needed Steph Curry. And I'll say this, Mike Brown, great coach. And I thought Mike Brown was very honest with his team. It was very impressive when he said, hey, they're outworking us. But I thought Mike Brown made a huge mistake in this one. And that was, listen to what I just said. The Warriors didn't have a lot of options. We're all Warrior people. We know it. And yet he didn't really go to the trap Steph, force the ball out of his hands until after the run was happened, until after the damage was done. It's like sitting there and coming up with a fire hose when the house is already burned to the ground. You know what I mean? It's too late at that point. You could have. So he was way, way, way too late to start to trap Curry. He should have seen the dynamic of all they got is Curry. Clay's ice. Wiggins is tight. Draymond, no. Looney, no. GP, no. Just force the ball out of Curry's hands 5 straight times down, and we're in the ball game, baby. But he didn't do it. And it's thankful he didn't do it. Let's welcome in Rye to this mix as well. Rye, good to see you, man. What'd you think?
Holy! That was so sick. Oh my God. I have nothing bad to say, honestly, about anybody on the Kings, Mike Brown. Like those boys were ready the entire series until they just took one final punch. I mean, it was basically a slugfest for the entire series, punch after punch, both guys getting hit in the face. And eventually that final blow, it really felt like we were just chipping away. And all of a sudden the dam finally broke at the very end when they needed it the most. And Steph Curry scores 50 points, the most in a game 7 in history, with 3 made free throws. Find me one guy on like the over 45 list that doesn't have at least 10 free throws. The man, it felt like garbage time with 6 minutes left. Like it was like, I guess we'll get Clay some practice shots over here, okay, I guess I'll get this layup here. I know I'm not going to get the end of game late fouls, free throw bump, but just unreal. These boys have not lost a Western Conference playoff series in 9 years. And, it just shows, they still got it. And Clay was a little worrisome, but you know what? Who cares? That 4-point play might have been the most crucial play in the entire game. That Monk play was sick when he went over Wiggins, got the and one. All of a sudden it turned, and the entire crowd just went silent once he got that 4-point play. So
that was a huge play. That there were 3 or 4 sequences there at the end of the third that just swung this game. Frank, you made a comment earlier that I thought was really interesting, and you said basically that you thought it was one of Kerr's greatest coaching performances. Mm-hmm. What things did you see, and anybody else wanted to jump in after Frank on this, what did we see from Kerr that you saw that you really thought of as genius in this game?
Well, Sacramento had been going to a high pick and roll beyond the free throw line. They were doing a lot of pick and roll at the 3-point line, and Fox and Monk, they would come off those picks, and the Warrior player would always be trailing. You go back to Game 6, a lot of times Klay Thompson was trailing, Steph was trailing. Now, what Kerr did was use the element of surprise. The post guy started to not only hedge, but jumped out and switched a couple of times. And the Sacramento Kings players were like, oh, shit, what do we do now? So that threw Monk off. Monk is a rhythm player. And all of a sudden, he didn't know what to do. And it also kind of frustrated Fox a little bit also, and their offense became disoriented, and they were not prepared for that. You could tell that. No, the Warriors did not switch in the first 6 games. Today they did. And they didn't do it all the time, but just enough to let them know that there was going to be an element of surprise. The other thing was he basically played a box and one on Fox early in the second half. It wasn't complete,
right?
But GP2 was on his ass, and he could not get off. And those are defensive adjustments that are very, very specific that no one really talks about. But I watched. I was like, wow, okay. So while the Warriors played great offense, the Kings were discombobulated offensively, and they never got right. I think that was definitely a coaching emphasis by Kerr.
The Warriors won by 20. Let's say 10 of it was on Curry, let's say a 10-point difference. The other 10 were on missed free throws from Sacramento. Sacramento at the free throw line today, guys, in a Game 7 at home. NBA players shot 16 of 27. They wouldn't have gotten on Carl's Soldiers team, that's for sure, Carl.
No, well, the Warriors weren't much better from the free throw line.
No.
It
was like 7 straight.
The Warriors were worse. But the beauty of that time in the third quarter, I'm sure every last one of us was on pins and needles because we could see that the Kings were trying to die, but the Warriors could not kill them because they could not keep the consistency of either making open looks with anybody outside of Steph or making free throws. So it just gave the Kings more and more chance to try to get momentum. So by the time the Warriors got up about 12 or 14 in the fourth quarter, you could just feel it. The Kings were dead. You could see that the energy in the arena had been totally sapped. Whoever's on the beam, he probably went to go watch an episode of Star Trek or something because he wasn't going to be Scotty tonight.
Hey, look at it this.
touch
Look
on
at this
how
way. There's a power shortage, and we saved that power by not having the beam lit. Go ahead, Baller.
Yeah, this team was so locked in today. They were dialed in. We were complaining game 6 about they didn't play with a focus. Tonight,
Right.
they had a great attention to detail. Fellas, what was the turnovers? 8 turnovers for the game for the Warriors?
Right.
That was incredible. Right. They took care of the basketball. They played with a purpose. They played a smart brand of basketball, and that's why they're moving on to the next round to take on the Lakers. Bring them on.
I mean, the one thing though, we have to mention that the number that just jumps off the box score to you is 10 offensive rebounds from Kevon Looney, and I thought they made a point of it. Was Jackson in the game who made the point that Sabonis was handling that wrong? I mean, he literally had the wrong position. You got to compete for that board. Kevon worked Sabonis, who's an incredible rebounder, one of the best rebounders in the game. But Kevon Looney's 10 offensive rebounds, 10. The length, Looney just makes so many plays. Not to mention the 4 assists. Kevon Looney, 11 points, 21 rebounds. And did you hear them say at the end of the? Did you guys hear him say at the end of the broadcast he's the 39th highest paid center in the league?
Yeah.
39th. His agents is like, if his agent's watching that, he's like, I'm gonna go get a drink. If you're Sacramento, you walking out of that arena, guys, and going, you know what? Can you stomach this one because you got shut down? You're the up and coming team. Your window's just beginning to open, and you got taken down by an all-time great. To me, I don't know. To me, if my team was taken down by just an all-time great, you just go, you know what? Jordan's Jordan. Is Gary Payton really walking around, or Charles, or anybody who lost to Jordan, Karl Malone, Stockton, or whatever? Are those guys really going, God, man, we should? No, Jordan. You're just Jordan, right? Is this easier because it's Curry having an all-timer?
It kind of becomes like the Warriors in 2013, 2014 when they lost to the Clippers in the 7-game series. Unfortunately, they lost that series on the road when the Clippers were able to put them to sleep. And we all know that the Clippers, Lob City, was not a great team, but it was a good team. It was a good, hardy, athletic team that looked like they were headed to some great promise. You just saw the hound dog in the champion come out tonight. We all know what Rudy Tomjanovich said. You can never, ever, ever underestimate the heart of a champion. And tonight, Stephen Curry's heart, Kevon Looney's heart, Draymond Green's ability to make little simple plays. The play that he made to get Steph the corner tray ball on the inbounds play, the baseline inbounds play, that was just beautiful. And the last thing I'm going to say is I wonder how badly Andre Iguodala wanted to be in uniform, because his intensity level was as high as anybody on the floors.
When Steph was screaming and yelling at the end there, sorry, Baller, but when Steph was screaming at the end, Iguodala was just like, ooh, he knew. He's just like, man, that was an all-timer. Go ahead, Baller.
No, I think it's Dan.
Oh, go ahead, Danny.
I was just gonna say, will Iguodala be possible? Will he possibly be back if they make the Western Conference Finals? I heard he was within a.
Is he coming back?
I heard
possibly,
he was 10 days. They said about a week ago that he was like 10 days away from practicing.
What they said was they would reevaluate him in 2 weeks, but they had taken the cast off already. So, the cast is off, which means that function of healing is done. So I think it's a matter of, at some point, it will come down to pain tolerance and his effectiveness. Is he good enough to get on the court? But I think there's a possibility that he might come back. With regards to your question, Larry, if I'm Mike Brown, you know what? I'm excited. I'm rallying my guys in the locker room. I'm going around to every guy telling them how awesome they were this year. And, we're making plans to go to Hawaii or something, because when you look at this team, they just need to get better. They need better personnel. They're one forward away from ascending to the next level. So If they feel horrible about this experience, something is wrong. They're not coaching these guys right because they played their asses off. They got an exceptional team, and they need to get better players. They need 1 or 2 more players to ascend to the next level.
The one piece that they need is GP2. They need a GP2. GP2's third foul was bogus. That was just not a foul at all. But he had to come off the floor at that point. But, I don't know if this was a Kerr adjustment or Kerr relenting, because I was calling for it early in the series, and I just didn't feel like we saw it quite enough. But when you have a awesome bench scorer, that's what Malik Monk is. He's an awesome bench scorer. You've got an awesome shutdown on-the-ball defender. Man, match those guys up. And now he drew some 3 fouls quickly and was off the floor. But, you can see, what was the final on this one as far as Monk? What did Monk do in this game finally? His final line was 14. So, if he goes off, they win. When he doesn't go off, you got a chance to beat them. I think GP2 or somebody like Hart from the Knicks, or they need a couple rugged defensive guys who show up to lock you down.
That's an excellent point.
Just anybody that's willing to lock them down. That's what Sacramento needs. When I think of Sacramento, I always think of the guy who was before his time that this team could really use. They had Randy Brown before Randy Brown went to the Bulls. And Randy Brown was an awesome on-the-ball defender. They could use that kind of piece right now. Digital Drew says the Kings certainly showed their youth in this game, very reminiscent of the early Dubs playoffs pre-2015, where they had to learn what playoff basketball was. Future is bright for them, no doubt. The one thing I think is that's a great point, Digital. I think the one thing, guys, that this reminds me of the Warriors is that the Warriors in the early editions were always trying to feel good. Where now they're smarter. Now they'll get a more of a higher percentage look at the end of a long run, like San Antonio would, to make that 10-0 run, 13-0, 15-0, because they get high percentage shots at the end of the run. Where the Warriors used to go heat check at the end of the run. Do you remember that? We'd be like, Clay from the scorer's table, and people would go, oh! And that was like a big part of the Warriors. Hey, they'd spurt on you, and look how fun, it's so much fun. But then that would work against them because they would need to go for the high percentage, square the shoulders, mid-range 2. If there was one thing I could say to Klay Thompson, by the way, going forward is, Klay, you are so money on the mid-range 2, and for whatever reason, the 3 comes and goes. If the 3's not going, get in that mid-range, square the shoulders, and I'll ride with you every day, all day. Let's just not live at the 3-point line and die at the 3-point line. But what do you guys think? Carl, Baller, Danny, Rye, what do you guys think as far as, does this Kings team remind you a little bit of those early Warrior teams?
Can I bring one? I like that you asked this question and you said the Spurs. Honestly, I mean, Carl, I'm right there with you. Like the Clippers, great analogy. What this one reminded me of was the Warriors, their first taste of it when they beat the Nuggets, right? And that was kind of the Kings having a super awesome regular season. They beat the Nuggets. All of a sudden, Curry is kind of he's knighted as a perennial all-star type guy. That's what happened with Fox. And then this series reminded me of when they played the Spurs team that was on an absolute mission from God to go beat that Heat team that year. And if you remember, Curry was going crazy. They lost that first game. They should have won it. It went OT. I think Curry had 40, 44, 46 or something. And they ended up losing in 6. And it was kind of that sucks. I feel like they could have had him. But at the same time, it's the Spurs went on to be the champs. And then they just needed to make a couple moves. And I think they have their coach, but it's sort of they had to get Iggy. They had to get they had to realize that Draymond's the 4, David Lee, you can't have him. It's just going to be little things like that. I mean, maybe those are kind of big things, but Sac, much respect to those guys. They did not roll over. They were not like the Houston Rockets or anything where they just started misbricking a bunch of 3. They were dogs. They absolutely were dogs.
Yeah, right. I think you make some good points because I like the young nucleus, right? Sabonis, Keegan Murray had his moments. De'Aaron Fox, obviously. Monk is just a vacuum scorer, almost like in that Lou Williams mold. But yet they need, in my opinion, they need like a 3-and-D wing. They need to try to upgrade Harrison Barnes. Carl said it earlier.
Definitely.
Barnes was a no-show tonight. Like, that's something they got to upgrade Barnes. Or they got to upgrade Herder. Like, I thought Herder was a sniper. I thought he didn't show up this series. He was below average. So they got to upgrade a couple spots. Harrison Barnes, Kevin Herder, and I think the Kings can get out of the first round.
Herder's going nowhere. I mean, you got an 82-game clip to watch him. He was solid. He's a very good player. Monk is a good. They're all good players, and even Harrison Barnes. You know what? His influence on that team from a leadership perspective in the locker room is understated, but it is so loud, and he's such a confidant of Mike Brown and the rest of that coaching staff. Maybe bring him off the bench, all right? If you want to upgrade the forward position, but you need him in that organization at a decent price. But, Larry, you're on to something because they have hit-or-miss guys. They have scorers, they got defenders, but they don't have a heart, right? Right. They don't have even like a GP2. They need a guy who's – you know what? They could have used Dante DiVincenzo, to be quite honest with you, and they let him walk out the door. So you're right. If they can get a balanced guard to bring off the bench that can play offense and defense, then they'll probably ascend to that next level.
Maybe Davis is that guy, but he might, maybe that's who they think that he is. But and they're young in a lot of ways. I mean, I'll say this: the Warriors found rhythm somehow. Now, is it Kerr? Is it Steph? Is it Draymond? The Warriors found a rhythm in that third quarter. The Kings' rhythm fell apart. It really did. It's like maybe it was GP2 on Monk. Maybe it was, the way that Sabonis was being defended, where he's kind of like challenged. They almost like challenged him, and he became a ball stopper late in the series, where he's kind of thinking about it, measuring it, squeezing it tight. I just felt like the Kings lost some offensive rhythm at the end. To me, there was that moment in the third. I guess it was early fourth. Curry, lays it in off glass right down the middle. And it's 97-83. And then Fox turns it over. Curry drops a deep three, and Breen's like, Curry! And then Fox, Lyles misses a three. Sabonis gets the rebound. Then Davis misses. Warriors come down, they miss, but Fox then turns it over out of bounds. And then Fox misses a deep three and Clay rebounds. Curry comes back down with the one-hand floater to give him 45. Warriors at that point are up 21. I thought that was a big 3 or 4 trip down sequence where the Kings were like, Fox, you're our best player, make it happen. And he went turnover, missed three, kind of off balance. And then they never really got back in it. Then Curry, of course, hit that three from the corner with 1.6 on the clock, which was a defensive breakdown from Sacramento. And it was over at that point. But to me, when I think of this game, I'll think of two things. I'll think of Steph Curry just in his moment showing us who he is, and Kevon Looney we had Digital Drew's Kevon Lou Ajuan. I don't know about that. But most underrated player in the NBA without question. It's like Kevon Looney is seriously underrated. There was a time, guys, where I thought, Kerr, I love Looney too, but Kerr's too in love with Looney. But you know what? Kevon Looney he's just one of those guys that we all had friends like this. They just keep getting better and better and better and better and better. And you're like, are they ever going to plateau? And no, they just, because they love basketball that much and they spend so much time that they actually just keep getting better. He literally is getting better and better. He's an amazing player. He's absolutely an amazing player. I can't wait to watch Lakers. We get that Tuesday. So we only have one. There's only one off day between Warriors and Warriors Kings, Warriors Lakers. That's a major advantage for the Lakers, don't you guys think?
For game one.
Yeah.
I don't think so because they play at home.
The one thing is it's at home in the city.
It is, it's all predicated by TV, unfortunately. Otherwise, you'd think they would be playing Wednesday. But I have a question for you guys. Were you surprised that Mike Brown stayed with Davis so long and never put Mitchell in to guard Curry? His Curry was just taking it to Davis.
I was, just because how much Mitchell has bothered Curry in this series, to the point where sometimes Curry just wouldn't even try it. He just swing it around because it's like he doesn't want to go at Mitchell with those strong shoulders and that lateral quickness and that tenaciousness. I mean, to me, Davion Mitchell, is going to make a ton of money in the NBA, so he won't care. But Davion Mitchell, probably easily could have been a Pro Bowl NFL corner. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I mean, what is he, 6'2"? He's thoroughly, he's physically dominant, long arms, super tenacious, just unbelievably aggressive. He's an NFL corner. Mark Graves says Kings young guys panicked with 7 minutes left. They hoisted too many threes. You guys agree?
I don't agree with that from this standpoint. The third quarter was where the Kings lost the rhythm. But I want to go back and touch on something in regards to the Kings in terms of their future. The Kings don't need a 3-and-D guy. They need a guy who can also make plays, because what makes Horder so valuable is Herder is able to score off of those DHOs from Sabonis, but they need another guy who can create offense. The guy who would be perfect for them, and it would absolutely help them, is going to play in the next series. They need to go after Austin Reeves like nobody's business. He's got the ability to knock down shots. He can play make. He's clearly got swag, and he'd be a hero in Sacramento. And if you could put him and Keegan Murray in their front court, I know the Harrison Barnes piece, like Red said, is going to be a hard one for Mike Brown to let go. He's kind of like a warm blanket, but they got to find a reasonable price for him, because, I mean, the guy just got done making about $24 million a year. So if they can find a way to keep Harrison Barnes and make him a part of their bench mob, and then, because let's be honest, Harrison is also 31, 32 now. Mm-hmm. They need to go after a young stud, somebody who is showing some flair. And I absolutely love Austin Reeves and what he brings. I think he does a similar thing to what the Chicago Bulls did when they went and took away a great puzzle piece from the Lakers last year.
Yeah, Caruso. Yeah, I like Austin Reeves. And he's a two-way player. The reason why the Warriors, I think, really showed their mettle is because they put a lot of two-way players on the court today. And that overwhelmed Sacramento. All of the Warrior plays, even Looney, we talk about his rebounding, but this guy has had 7 assist games. He is a playmaker. Draymond's a playmaker. Clay can play make a little bit. Steph is the ultimate playmaker. So that's what they need. The Kings are really, really good. They were the 3rd seed this year, and I see them possibly finishing as high as 2 next year if they can just adjust their roster just a little bit.
How about Poole? I want to say,
got to find the guy. Oh, go ahead, Ryan.
Oh, I was going to say, how about Poole in the second half? I was really kind of worried because I don't know, I didn't come on the last show, but Poole really pissed me off in the last game. He was just doing way too much, like deciding he was going to go before, it wasn't in rhythm. And like, it's just so demoralizing versus the Sac team when he just decides to go early in the shot clock. And then it's like, he's already bad on defense. Now, all of a sudden they're on the break. They can go down and it's just a horrible situation. And the second he got back in the game, I was like, I swear to God, Jordan Poole, if you just decide like it's time for me to start seeing the bucket or a ball go through the bucket, he goes past Mitchell. He kind of starts to do the thing where he's trying to draw the foul. And it was the last second he was like, bad Jordan. And then he just passed it out to GP to Wiggins, then Wiggins inside to Looney. Looney got fouled, missed both free throws. But I saw a lot of that from him and Clay in the second half. And I don't know if that's on Kerr, but at least it's just good to see self-awareness. And yeah, I think that's
a great point. I agree with you, Rye. I was seeing less stupid stuff from Jordan Poole because my first half notes say Jordan Poole sucked. He was driving into traffic, taking tough threes, bad defense. But I love that you brought that up because I was watching him under the microscope in the second half, and there was a lot less of that. Maybe one bad shot, but it definitely cleaned it up. And, Moses Moody, I thought Moody played well. Not a lot of production from the Warriors bench tonight, but hey, when Steph Curry goes for 50, that'll make up for, a Gary Payton only giving you 2 points. And DiVincenzo, man, I want more out of DiVincenzo. I want to challenge Dante because I think he's a really good ball player. He didn't bring it this series, but hey, Lakers are coming up. It's a new series, and I want to see Dante pick it up.
No doubt. Randall Riley says, my wife's got a crush on Rye. So adorable. Look at that. I think I might change the channel. I think I might say, let's watch golf instead. My son jumps in. He says, like and subscribe, everybody. Look at that. How about that? Kids out there hustling. The Kings bench outscored the Warrior bench in the first half 25-8. 25-8 in the first half, plus 17, and plus 7 on the glass. So let me ask you guys this, not to look past Sacramento or today, because today was so epic and we could still talk about it for hours. The next round, is Kuminga getting off the bench? Did we get a glimpse? I loved what I saw early in this game from Moody. I liked what I saw. The same way Keegan Murray grew in this series, and we saw it before our eyes, Moses Moody grew in this series. And I'm hoping that we see more Moses. I'd like to see Steve show some confidence in Kuminga next round. I know Kuminga looked like a circus at times, and like the moment was too big. But I wouldn't mind throwing him on LeBron in the first quarter and of game one and just saying, you know what, we're here. Send the message to the king that this kid's bigger, stronger, faster, and livelier and fresher. You want to deal with him? You got 7 games of him. Make LeBron a passer. Carl, you're shaking your head. You like that idea?
No question. It's all about matchups. We all would love to see Kuminga be able to bring the energy and the uniqueness of he can get easy buckets, which is something the Warriors struggle for. However, you have to have the matchup that fits. And this matchup just did not fit for him. He seemed about a half a step off balance defensively. He didn't look very confident on the floor, and the fact he wasn't rebounding. I think in this Lakers series, you're going to see the opportunities for him to play because you got the freight train in LeBron. They're going to need guys who can take fouls and take some possessions to guard him because you cannot afford to wear out Wiggins or to have Draymond get in foul trouble in this series because he's got to be there to help Looney with Anthony Davis. So it's going to be a very different series. The Lakers are going to play a lot slower, and I think it's going to give the Warriors a chance to do some things over time to kind of get their rhythm. They're going to be much better in the next series than they were in this series because there's no fear factor. They're now playing with house money. They know if we've got home court advantage, we should beat you, and that's going to be a huge benefit for them.
Sorry about that. Somebody said send Grant Napier an invite. Caught my attention, so I'm like, you know what? I don't know if Grant Napier's hanging around, but I think Grant's probably doing his own show. Mm-hmm. But I did send him a little invite if he wants to jump in here. Kevin F, by the way, says, congrats on 17,000 subs. That's right. Last night we reached 17,000 subs. Big NFL draft weekend pushed us over the top there. As far as Sabonis in this series, it was kind of weird. He came alive in this last game, but I thought one of the key attributes in winning Game 5 and starting to kind of take control of the series. By the way, the home teams won the first 4, the road teams won the last 3. Thought that was kind of interesting. Yeah. But I thought the way, if we're going to point to Kerr and a thing that a genius adjustment, it wasn't necessarily today, guys, but coming into today, and I thought one of the key things that kind of pivoted this series was the way they defended Sabonis and the way they challenged him and were incredibly physical with him. I mean, he's got all kinds of battle scars coming out of this series under the eye. I mean, they roughed him up, and he's one of the most physical guys in the league. But they also screwed up his rhythm. They took away his passing. They played off of him. It was like one adjustment. It's amazing how one really astute adjustment can take a great NBA player, an all-star, out of his game and diminish his impact. They played off of him. It did two things. It took away his 7.5 assists per game, which is a startling number. It kind of made Keegan Murray struggle a little bit early because it was like Murray's like, hey, I'm not getting the ball, these great feeds from Sabonis. And it also then made Sabonis kind of a ball stopper because you're challenging him so personally by playing Looney literally under the bucket when he's standing at the free throw line. You're just begging him to take that shot. He took a couple, but he also took a few that he missed. And he never got in rhythm. They didn't get in rhythm. Let's be honest about this, guys. The big shocker in this number today is not the 120. It's the 100. It's the Warriors kept this Kings team on their home floor in Game 7 to 100 points. And I think that little wrinkle, and I don't know if it came from Kerr or the staff or whatever. I guess Kerr gets credit for all of it. Atkinson, who knows. But I thought that was a pivotal part of this series. Guys, all you guys know basketball. Give me your thoughts on that.
I think you're spot on. And again, it's understated, but it had tremendous ramifications on the Warriors taking control of the game. Sabonis is viewed as a physical player, but he's not as physical as Draymond or even Looney. So when they took his physicality advantage away from him, he was a little startled simply because he's not the most skilled guy. Nobody at that level who's an all-star should not be able to use their offhand. And they played him to his left, and he really didn't know what to do. And, he became flustered because normally his man is backing down. He can get to his strong hand. He couldn't do that with the Warriors. So it just speaks again to the Warriors' intelligence as basketball players. Anybody can see that he likes to go left, but who is willing to absorb the physical punishment that he's going to endure? Draymond's like, bring it on. I'll hit you harder. And Looney also is a very physical player. So the Warriors meeting him where he wanted to be from a physical perspective made him totally off balance, and it basically took his game away from him.
I think that's spot on. One couple super chats here. Glass half full guy says, "Light the beam, Kings fans." # Curry 50.
Light the beam.
The bottom line on that. I went to Sac State, and I've got so many good friends in Sacramento. My brother's a big Kings fan. As much scar tissue as us Warriors fans, we should be able to have a little empathy for Sacramento because this is a bitter defeat. And I asked this the other night. I said to you guys after Game 5, I said, if I told you, because I really felt this way, Danny wasn't going along with my hypothetical, but I basically threw out a hypothetical after Game 5. I'm like, if you were Sacramento and you could lose Game 6 here in Oakland and duck out 1-2-3 Cancun, would you choose that over losing Game 7 on your home floor? And Danny didn't want to go with the hypothetical, and he's like, they're not going to do that. Then I got mad, and we started screaming, and I started swearing. No. But anyway, what do you guys think in hindsight now? If you're Sacramento and you knew you lost the series, would you have rather lost Game 6 on the road or Game 7 on your home floor?
Game 7 at home. You want this experience.
Exactly.
You want those 3 wins. You want your guys to be hurting. We all know the Kings were not going to win a championship this year. So since it's a building block year, you know that Coach Brown wants to have something that's eating at guys' craw. I think somebody said it might have been either Ryan or Big Red. You want to go to Hawaii or something and have all the guys come. Leave your wives at home this time. Let's just go and talk about what happened for us during that time. Let's go play golf. Let's go do some other social events. Let's do some team building so that when you go home for the summer for 2-3 weeks to do your thing and then start your workout program, I've left you with something that's just for us. Because if they can take that in, they could come back next year, like Red said, and be a top 3 seed again and really make a run.
And learn from what Memphis did. Memphis like took the Warriors, to 6 and put a scare into them. And then they just like showed up the next year like they won the championship. Like, you know what I mean? They acted that way all year, and then they lost in the first round. This South team, you know, Mike Brown's not going to let that shit happen. Yeah. No way. So
Jaw's not worried about anybody in the West.
By the way, you're going to leave the wives at home? Can you bring the girlfriends? I mean, how's that going to work out? Digital Drew says this is the experience tax the Kings had to pay. Every great team must pay it. Jordan got beat. Dubs got beat. They all have to pay. I guess the Dubs got beat. Who did they lost to? Memphis,
Clippers and the Spurs.
Spurs. That's it. There you go.
But the Clippers. I mean, the Warriors didn't go through it long. I mean, the Bulls. It took a while to get past Detroit. It took Detroit a while to get past Boston, and you know, so it'd be interesting to see. I think Sacramento's definitely on the way up, and I like the way they're playing. I like the youth they got. Mike Brown seems to be perfect coach for the situation. I think they gain a ton, like Carl said, losing Game 7, the experience of losing it, going up. I mean, you lost to the champs. You didn't lose to, you know, the Portland Trailblazers. You know, you lost to the champs. So I think it's good experience, and I think they're going to be better for it next year. And, you know, I personally have said that the Warriors, I thought they'd win it in 6, but they, you know.
You were wrong. You were wrong.
Yeah, they coasted in Game 6, and they took them lightly. But I will say
the Warriors did not bring it at all in Game 6.
No, not at all.
They really didn't. I don't know if they were worried about the draft or Trey Lance or what.
I think they were worried I think they were about your show and everything.
Maybe they were thrown off because the Giants weren't playing that night.
Yes.
Who won the Giants game, Danny, today? Who won that?
Padres came back after being down 4-0, came back and won 6-4.
Oh,
so they got 3 in the bottom of the 8th, and and Yaz got hurt. It looked like a knee. I don't know, on a diving attempt to catch a ball, and I don't know the way he was walking off the field. I don't know. I hope it's not an ACL.
Really? Oh no!
Wow.
Oh no! You know, it's funny. You want your guys' thoughts on this, but Curry took 38 shots, and I would have liked to see him take more. You know what I mean? I mean, it was like he took 38 shots, and he probably could have shot 5 or 6 more times. It would have been fine with me. But that was the most field goal attempts in his entire career, regular season or playoffs. I mean, this is an all-timer. Where do you guys put this one? You know, it's funny. They asked Willie Mays about making great catches. He's like, I don't rank them, I just catch them. But but you know, where would you put this Steph performance? Like, if I say greatest Steph performances, I think of last year in Boston.
That was
with the fans going crazy, and we got a little glimpse of that, you know, today as far as the fire of Steph Curry. But to me, this has got to be on the short list. It's got to be, 2 games, 3 games like this in his entire career?
This is, in my opinion, because of the magnitude, Game 7 on the road, first round, defending champs. I put it right behind the Boston Game 4 last year.
Is it a bigger performance in Magic? Bigger performance in Magic Game 7, 80 in the Spectrum?
Well, that was a championship, so I'm not going to say that. But I'm going to say in terms of watching Curry play, this was his greatest performance that I've watched. And I'm going to tell you, number 1, I can't remember the Boston game. I just know he played well. I don't remember it.
Game 4, yeah. They had to win that one.
It was a 43.
Yeah, 40. But the reason why I say it is because of all of the subplots surrounding this game. There's no way that Lacob can resign himself to keeping this thing together if they lose this game. Somebody's gone. Now you can start to have a conversation. Maybe we can tweak and we can find a way to bring the guys back. Because at this point, even if they don't move forward, this season can't be called a failure. If they lost this opening round, I think you could rationalize this season being a failure. If they lose in the second round, the semifinals, it's a disappointment, but it's not a failure. So Steph was carrying so many of his guys' future on the court with him. I think he recognized that. The guy's never taken 38 shots before. So he was feeling all of that. And in his Wardell Stephen Curry way, he supported his guys. He supported his coach. I loved it, man. It was awesome.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna agree with Damon McCurry here. Says Game 4 Finals is his just moved on me. Greatest performance, and it's not close given what was on the line. Yeah, they were down 2-1 in that series. Had they lost Game 4 in the championship, I don't think they would have come back.
He had the ankle thing the game before.
Yes, Game 3.
Kind of
Yeah,
exactly.
over. Yeah, exactly.
You'd have to put Game 4, but I mean, okay, you could have this conversation. Was this the most consistent Steph Curry we've seen in a series? Because usually he has one game that's like a whack, kind of weird Steph Curry game, like where maybe he scores 19 and kind of just can't make a shot. I think the worst game he had was 29 points the other night.
the last game, he had some really ugly turnovers in the second half.
But
they just looked tired Friday night to me. They looked slow. They looked tired. They
took chances with the ball.
Yeah, I think a lot of it had to do with Sacramento was coming in and knew they had to win. Warriors home game, 5 o'clock, weird start time. Crowd's not even all there yet. I think the Warriors just thought, we'll show up and we'll get our rhythm at some point and we'll win it. And they just got run off the floor. I was actually I was mixed today going into today's game. I was mixed with, okay, their championship pedigree is going to come through and they're going to pull this off and they're not going to lose. And the other side of me is saying, man, they look so tired Friday night and it's a short turnaround. Sacramento's fresh. They're younger. Could they run them off and it was like that championship pedigree showed up though.
Well, I just think the Warriors had greater desperation. I mean, think about it. I think Frank that you just said this about how they were, that some of these guys, or Carl, was it Carl that you just said this about that they were facing the end of the Warriors are facing the end of the dynasty. The Kings, and you see this a lot in sports. One team has everything on the line. The other team's going to be good either way. I'm not saying that Sacramento didn't want to win. I'm not saying that Sacramento wasn't into winning or their players didn't try to win. I'm just saying, win or lose, good season Sacramento. Win or lose, not good season Golden State. End of dynasty. Guys are leaving. Final games on the floor together. Emotional end. I didn't want to take off my uniform in the locker room for 3 hours because I know I'll never put it on again. It's that kind of a moment. And so I think the Warriors played with, Steph especially, played with a level of desperation. I think, it's like Kings had an advantage early in this series. The Kings had energy and focus and youth, and the Warriors had to focus and kind of get into the series. But at the end, the Warriors are looking at the end of their run, and the Kings are looking around like, hey, it's Game 7 against the champs. I guess we're supposed to do this now. I just think Warriors had a greater sense of desperation, and it showed. Sacramento lost this thing in the third quarter. They lost their edge somewhere in the third quarter. I thought Brown waited way too long to trap Steph. Should have trapped him way, way earlier on. And what can you say? Golden State, it was like they were sharks with blood in the water in that third quarter, wasn't it? It was like they started to separate a little bit from the Kings, a little bit more. And every time they got another time down, it was like, we're getting a better shot. We're going to get a better shot. And they were looking for the dagger. They were hungry. They started to play with this like frenetic energy when they, it was like a good energy, I thought, once they felt like they were on the verge of putting Sacramento away.
I've got some context real quick on the Curry. I'm just comparing it to on StatMuse to all the other ones. So like Durant previously had the record 48. Prior to that was Dominique Wilkins 47. So here's two crazy stats from it. So I'm going to read all the other minutes of the other 10 highest. 53, 43, 41, 45, 42, 43, 47, 44, 46, 48. Curry did it in 38 minutes.
Wow.
Durant did it in 53. 15 more minutes.
Right. It was that overtime game against, was it against Milwaukee?
I've never seen him play better. I mean, I watched a lot of Steph Curry games.
Well,
I've never seen him play better than he played today.
Well, so Frank, going off of what you just saying, that may be the most surprising thing when you're looking through the stat sheet. The man shot 60% from the free throw line.
Right. Could have had 60.
3 for 5. Was he
If he had taken a few more shots and made some free throws, he would have had 60.
How about that, man? Clay missed. How many did they miss in a row at one point? Like 7, 8? It was getting ridiculous.
It wasn't just Clay missing shots. Clay had played badly at times. I mean, he had turnovers.
Well, I mean, just the team as a free throws. They were just like they had a chance to like put him away.
They missed 9 in the third quarter.
Yeah, 9. Had they made just like say 6 of those?
That Clay $35 million extension is going to be a tough sell. Yeah, I mean,
supposedly he wants max.
That's going to be a hard conversation, man. I mean,
they
want him back. They want him back, but at those numbers, I mean, come on, man.
Curry saved his ass.
Looking
if he lost, he would have been the GOAT.
Looking ahead here at the series, there is no 2 days off in the next series. It's every other day starting Tuesday. It's Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and if it goes all the way to game 7, it's May 14th on Sunday. So it's just boom, 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 boom.
Schedule.
Boom.
Yeah, schedule is intense. Rob Schneider through the super chat, he says, we lost because Looney put up 30 rebounds. All right. Close. We got this one from 49er Faithful. Whoever gave Poole $30+ million deserves to be fired. All right. There we go. Let's all stay positive here on the postgame show. We got this one. Look at Molet's in the house. Look at that. Dropping a C note on the show.
Wow.
Frick yeah, he says. That's for both the Dubs and the Krug Show reaching 17,000 subs. Much love, beat LA. Thank you, Jimmy Mole. Appreciate you, brother. Go Giants. Jimmy's a season ticket holder. He's not an ex-season ticket holder like Dan Coach Emilio. He's a season ticket holder.
Jimmy, what are you doing?
Hey, let's go around the room. We'll start with Carl and go around the room on this one. Give me your prediction on Warriors-Lakers. What's it going to be?
I think the early part of the series, you're going to see the huge adjustments in terms of the Lakers trying to top lock the Warriors and keep them off the three-point line. I think they're going to try to funnel everything to Anthony Davis. I think the Warriors are going to have to make a little bit of an adjustment, which we heard about earlier today, which is taking a few more middies, a few more floaters than settling for the deep ball. I just think the Warriors are going to find the versatility of their bench in this series. So I've got the Warriors winning. I have them winning in 6, but I wouldn't be surprised if it went 7.
Wow, 7 games against the Lakers. If you had said that early in the year, I would have thought, no way, no how. It's amazing how much different the Lakers are since the beginning of the year. They've really hit stride after the trade deadline. I thought Pelinka was spectacular. Baller, what do you think? Warriors-Lakers round 2. The league's loving it for the TV revenue. What's your prediction on the series?
I'll tell you one matchup I like. I love Draymond Green on Anthony Davis. I feel like he makes Anthony Davis's life miserable, so I want to see more of that. Kevon Looney, I think can give you more of that, more of the same action there. But I want to attack D'Angelo Russell on defense. I want to go at him because I don't think he's a very good defender. Is he going to be running around chasing Steph Curry? Is he going to run around chasing Klay Thompson? So whoever D'Angelo Russell is guarding, I'm looking to get him open. I'm drum scheming up plays to get that player open. Now, Austin Reeves, Carl spoke about how good of a player he is. He's been playing really well lately. A couple of their role players, Vanderbilt's a nice wing. He was a good addition at the deadline. Hachimura, he's had his moments. Hachimura surprised me. He's been hitting some threes. So you don't want to leave him wide open, but I'm going with the Golden State Warriors, and 6 sounds about right, Carl. I'm going Warriors in 6.
Rye, what do you think?
I'm going to say Warriors in 7. It's really just I'm protecting my own heart because I just can't I can't handle the Lakers beating the Warriors and LeBron beating Curry again. I can't handle it. I will say though, looking at the matchups, like you're right. I mean, Russell, sucks on defense. I mean, it's kind of, him and Poole has a real good chance in this series to have kind of go off. Cause they don't really have any, they don't have a Davion Mitchell. They don't really have a guy to check Curry. And if Curry and Poole are on the floor at the same time, they damn sure don't have somebody to guard both of them. So I think Poole could get off. I like with the way Looney's playing. I mean, it is kind of funny because he seemed like a vet since he came into the league. But like theoretically, he's like, 27, 28? He's like just entering his prime. So it kind of makes sense that he has gotten this much better. And yeah, I like Draymond and Davis. I mean, really the thing that worries me is just like, these games turning into like just a rock fight where the Lakers are getting a zillion, trips to the free throw line. But I'm going to say 7, even though I'm feeling pretty confident.
Danny?
Vanderbilt's going to guard Steph, by the way, right?
I'm gonna go Chardal. Warriors in 4. No,
Warriors in 3 is more of a short.
Warriors in 3, exactly. No, I think it's going to be a fight, but here's what I expect. I think the Warriors will win it in 6 or 7, probably 7, but it could be 6 if the Warriors. I think they're going to run and try and tire out Anthony Davis and LeBron. And I think you'll see more guys, especially the home games, more rotations where guys are getting minutes because you LeBron and AD, you can not only, especially AD, you can wear him out to the point where he becomes injury prone. Guys stayed relatively healthy, but gets hurt every year. And the more minutes you get, I expect Curry to be the Energizer Bunny, running around, who's ever got him. And I just think they're going to do a lot of ball movement and try to just run these guys off the floor at times. And I don't think, especially game 1, I think you're going to need a couple of extra guys, whether that be JaMychal Green or Kuminga, just because these guys are coming off a very tough series and they're going to be tired. And I think they're going to need somebody that didn't contribute against Sacramento to come up and play big in game 1 or 2.
Kevin F says donation. He says, great year, Sacramento. The drought is finally over. Red, what do you think? What's your prediction on the series?
I think the Warriors in 6. It could go 7, but I just look at the Lakers personnel, and they don't match up real well against the Warriors. I think when you watch the Lakers, when Anthony Davis and LeBron are playing well, they can score, but they go through massive periods where it is very difficult for them to score, and their numbers are really low. Not the Warriors. The Warriors, through their hijinks or whatever, generally are going to score somewhere between, say, 110 and 120. The Lakers don't do that. Also, when Anthony Davis goes out of the game, they're really predictable and easy to guard offensively. The other component that the Warriors have that the Lakers don't have, and I think Rice spoke to it, GP2. They don't have that guy. GP2 is capable of turning off any of their perimeter players' water, and that's going to hurt them. That's why they signed Tristan Thompson, because he's more of a physical presence inside. He didn't play a lot against Memphis, but he might play against the Warriors because he can do some things on the interior, and that might help them a little bit when Anthony Davis is not in the game. But the Warriors just have too many interchangeable parts, I think, for the Lakers. I see GP2 turning Austin Reeves' water off. Russell is a pretty good player. He's not great. LeBron and Anthony Davis are older than they're actually playing. So they're great. They're capable of putting up big numbers. But if they get tired and they're not playing well, there's nobody else to come in and take upon that responsibility. So I think the Warriors in 6 games, I also think Kuminga's going to play much more than he played against Sac.
Wiggins is great on LeBron, too.
Yeah, what's that? Wiggins is good on LeBron. I think Kuminga might be dusted off for some time on LeBron. I'm going to go Warriors in 5. I like Warriors in 5. I think Golden State wins game 1 and game 2 at home. I think they wind up losing game 3 in LA, but I think they'll rebound and win that 4th game, and I think they'll finish it in 5. The Lakers are not as good as the Kings. Let's not pretend that they're somehow good because they had a hot second half and they finally got it together. They circled the wagons. I watched so many of their games down the stretch. They piled up so many wins against NBA teams that were thinking about the lottery and thinking about the offseason, and I think the Lakers are better, and it's good for the league that they're relevant. And I think these games will be competitive games, and I think Anthony Davis is going to be a really, really tough cover for Golden State. But I like Golden State in 5. Golden State, the advantage that the Kings gave Golden State was they gave Golden State a higher bar that they had to reach in the first round. And now they get a team that's not as good. The Lakers do not have a Fox, do not have a Monk. I respect the Lakers and their length, and LeBron's LeBron, but I like the Warriors in 5. I think you'll see Kerr expand his bench in this series, play some different guys, maybe even give Steph a little bit more rest in this series than he did in the last part of the first round. So I like the Warriors. I think the matchup favors the Warriors. I think the Kings would have beaten the Lakers, in my opinion, as well. GTC Real says Looney was the MVP. If Poole doesn't turn this around, I don't see the Warriors winning this series against the Lakers. He's a sieve on defense, which is a great word, and he takes bad shots, and he's and his Hezzies put him back into the defense. Well, I'm not sure if I got that. GTC, thank you very much for that. I've got one for you. This is maybe the question of the night if you're a Sacramento fan driving around. Here we go. Wait for it. Hey, Kings fans, who you got in the second round? Warriors or Lakers? Who do you think? If you guys had to guess, Carl, what do you think? We'll start with you. Who are the majority of the Kings fans are rooting for? Who?
The Golden State Warriors, and not because they're the closer one, but there's an arrogance about the Lakers and about La La Land that absolutely stinks in Northern California. We hate it. Sacramento can't stand it because, let's be honest, the NBA cheated them out of an NBA Finals years ago when they put the Laker Kobe Shaq team in the finals when they shouldn't have been.
Baller, I know you got to jump, but give us your thought.
The Kings fans, they're going to absolutely tune this series out. Like, they're turning off the TV. They're not watching this thing. I mean, the Warriors just knocked them into Cancun mode. So they got a bad taste in their mouth from the Warriors. I mean, we don't need to rehash what happened in the early 2000s between the Kings and the Lakers. So they're not going to be cheering for either one of these teams. They're probably going to be rooting for them both to lose. That being said, what I'm going to say before I get out of here is the Warriors, I'm looking across the league, the Warriors have as good a chance as anybody to win an NBA title this season. You know, I love the performance today, and we saw flashes, right? Game 6 wasn't good, but Game 5 was spectacular. So there showed some good moments. I want them to take care of business here against the Lakers. And, you know, I don't want to look too far ahead, but the Nuggets look pretty good. We'll see how that series goes between Denver and Phoenix. But I'm looking at the league, and I'm saying Warriors got as good a chance as anybody to win a title. Fellas, love chatting with you guys. Larry,
yeah, Baller. Hey, it's like March Madness, right? It's wide open this year. It's different than almost any year.
Hey, a little parody doesn't hurt.
Bay Area Baller 18. Everybody in the chat. We got 400 people hanging out. Go join Bay Area Baller 18's YouTube channel. He puts out great content. We're going to collab later this week, talk a little Niners draft. Baller, have a great Sunday, my man.
Take care,
Thanks,
Baller.
fellas. Later.
What's up, brother?
There you go, Baller.
I'm gonna have to get going too. I just moved yesterday into this.
That's it. You're gone. No, I'm just
That's good. That's good.
The other day when Danny said he had to leave, I'm like, get the fuck out of here. And somebody's like, hey, you know what? That ought to be the new way that you leave the show is you just tell him to get the fuck out. No, but Danny's moving. Danny's out.
Man.
He's now Danny's got a sweetheart deal now where he's renting out his old pad for more than the mortgage. So I mean, Danny's kicking butt and taking names. That's why Dan's securemoney.com on the web.
Yeah. So anyway, I was going to say my closing thought is take that 11-30 road record and just put it where, because it meant nothing. They won 2 on the road to win this series. So they won 11 games all year out of 41 on the road, and they come in and win 2 out of 4? Yeah, 2 out of 4 on the road, 50%. So that's, hey, this team has not lost a Western Conference series in the Steve Kerr era.
That's 19 straight.
Danny, can we ask one personal question? Is this the last show in the old pad or the first show in the new pad?
This is the first show in the new pad. Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah, so this is
how many square feet? 55,000, you said?
Yeah. That was the 55 and over community.
Oh, the 55 and over community.
Yeah. No, this is 2000.
You're in an older neighborhood when there's like a CVS connected to your condo. You know
exactly.
What I mean?
Yeah.
And a delivery service.
CVS in your pool house.
Yeah, exactly. When they're selling, hey, don't forget Thursday night bingo.
When there's a specimen door in your, instead of flushing the toilet, you put it in the specimen window.
So I'm impressed because it takes me months to put up artwork. You just walked in the first day and immediately their Golden Gate Bridge is there.
That literally went up as the chat as your show was starting. I was like putting that. I got to have a background, otherwise it's a complete white wall.
Dan, I was going to say, how much room do you have with the missus? Like, do you think you could somehow convince her to just paint it green? Just get a little built-in green screen action.
Yeah, let me see if I can give you a little.
Give us a tour of the new pad. Can we get a tour of the new pad?
Done here. Let's see.
I'd like a guided docent tour with headphones and the whole deal.
Hey, check the dogs out.
Oh yeah, we got to. How are the dogs adjusting? Done.
Look at Buster.
Who let the dogs out?
Oh, they both have a cock now.
I don't want to insult you, but it looks kind of like a dump. No, I'm just joking.
There's the. Let's see. Oh, look at let me show you the backyard. I just got it done.
You brought those comfortable.
I just got the backyard.
That's quite a long cord you got going there.
I just got the backyard done yesterday.
Look at you. Wait a second. We need to switch our format around here. So
wow, that's sweet.
Wait a second. Hold on. Get my fat head out of there.
Let's see.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, wait. That's it.
Oh, okay. That's perfect for the dogs.
Turf. Put the turf in. And the paper.
How many will you see any summertime rattlers out there?
I hope not. I don't think so.
Oh, that's beautiful. That is just absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
AstroTurf and stone walls all the way around.
Are the dogs allowed to poop on it?
Yeah, they go on it. I just pick it up right.
How hot is it right now there?
100 today.
Oh man. Oh. So look at it this way. You're on your way to 115.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's the kids.
Look at that.
It's a lot bigger.
Oh, look at that.
Where's the AC?
Yeah.
It's on. It's on. Yeah, so it's we're just getting everything set up and everything.
Nice.
But,
beautiful.
Look, got my Giants.
I just tweeted out the address and I said parties at Danny's. And
look at this! Got the new TV up today for the Warrior game. Look at that!
Look at that!
75-incher.
Sheesh!
Look at that!
Yeah, sold the 65 one to the renter.
Business is good.
Yeah. Well, anyway,
just all kinds of flat screens.
Yeah,
reminds me of Gilbert Arenas' ride. All right, Danny, have a good one, man.
Hey,
Get the-
thanks. We'll see you guys. Tuesday night then?
Tuesday night, get the fuck out. We'll see you Tuesday. There you go. Dan Coach Amelia. That place was a dump. No, I'm just joking. It's a nice looking place. How about Danny though? Just moving and making money and look at that. One guy here. I love this one. Lee Ving. Beam off. No basketball. Well, there's always the state fair. You guys ever been to Sacramento State Fair?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, you got to go to old Sacramento and get some fish.
What are you saying? Where?
Go to old Sacramento, get you some fish. They've also got a place to get both ice cream and peanut brittle.
Ooh. Oh, you're talking about like Old Sac, like where Fanny Ann's used to be,
yeah.
and my first job in radio, I worked for KSAC. I was the producer of the Bud Ferrillo show, and so I had to drive from like Rancho Cordova down to Old Sac in like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning because it was a morning show.
I think we should change that should be Danny's new nickname.
Old Sac. Hey Danny, do you mind if we're going to go with Old Sac? One super chat here from HR. He says, when an athlete like Wiggins plays that hard, the Lakers will have no answer. Warriors win the first 3 games, drop the 4th in LA, finish it in 5. Let me ask you guys this. Do you think that, they're NBA players and they're not really playing for money at this point. The contracts are guaranteed. They did play for money at one point, but the money's all secured and in the bank now. Now you're not really playing for money. You got the money. You're playing for professional pride and competitiveness. But what do you think goes on in the minds? Frank, you played college basketball. Carl, you coached LeBron. You've run one of the best AAU programs. You guys have been around a lot of high-end basketball. Do NBA players, it looked like Wiggins was spooked at the end of that game. It looked like nobody on the Kings at times wanted to take a shot. It looked like Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson was hunting shots and came alive in the third, but it's weird. It's like you inject a lot of pressure and put it in the moment, and all of a sudden guys shrink and the ball, everybody tightens. I'm not even trying to insult them in any way. I'm just saying it is what it is, right? There's tremendous pressure. Suddenly there's it felt like there was a cap on the rim at times for Wiggins. He couldn't get little 2-footers to go down, but he wasn't alone. Peyton couldn't, and heck, Looney couldn't. The Warriors had to miss at least 15 or easy bunnies. Is that guys feeling pressure and tightening up? What do you think?
Guys feel pressure. Yeah, absolutely. There's levels to this. Now, I think that once the game starts and you start reacting to plays, then some of that nervousness goes away. But these are humans. These are humans playing on the biggest moments, and they can feel pressure. Guys like Steph Curry, he's an alien, man. He doesn't feel pressure. And Klay Thompson, he does it, and Draymond. So the stability of that trio, I think, balances the rest of the guys. And they, at some point, it becomes normalized. But this is all new for the Sacramento Kings. Even a guy like De'Aaron Fox and Monk, who are great players, and they played with big guy for them, with the Miami Heat. They didn't win a national championship. They played high-level basketball, but they have not won championships. So, yeah, they were probably nervous. Fox's shooting motion is a little tricky. So, if he's off a little bit, the ball's not going to go in the basket. So, I think that they did feel the moment. And it's because they were a little uncomfortable. They probably wouldn't call it nervousness, but it is some sense of uncomfortability with the moment. We call it nervousness, but they were off balance. There's no doubt about that.
What do you think, Carl?
And the other thing that happens, Larry, is there's anxiousness, there's nervousness, and then there's desire. You desire to make the big shot. And man, you're putting more juice in yourself, and you just shoot it a little strong, or you shoot it a little short, or you're trying to place it in. And sometimes that just happens because we've seen Andrew Wiggins perform in a NBA Finals. We've seen Andrew Wiggins perform in a Western Conference Finals. So we know he has the ability to calm himself down. But when you want it so bad, sometimes you're trying so hard to make it happen, it just doesn't happen. And it was very clear that in the last 2 games, you could see it. De'Aaron Fox's finger may not have bothered him early in the game on shots, but as the game went on and he bumped into guys or maybe hit the floor, you could see it in his ball handling more than you could see it in his shooting. Because I saw at least 7 or 8 times in each of those last couple of games where the ball was at his shoulder level or higher. I mean, you should not be dribbling that high at 6'2". But, you know, when you're wearing a splint, that can cause you a problem.
GTC Reels says, is Dan moving to Sunnyside retirement home? Yes. He's at Del Boca Vista, I believe, and he's running for, I think he's running for superintendent or sergeant at arms. We welcome in a man who is doing illicit drugs in front of us right now, and that's
incorrect, Larry. This is tobacco. It's a cigar.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Of course.
Sai's in the house. Sai, Carl, you know Sai, right?
I don't do drugs.
Man.
What
That's
are you
Locked
talking?
On Warriors.
I'm a straight shooter, Larry. Well, I don't know what you're referring to. This drugs business. I have no idea what this.
It's a celebratory
I had to
blunt.
celebrate. I haven't had a chance. I've been talking for like 2 hours straight. Sorry, it came so late, but I haven't had a chance to celebrate yet. Man, that was crazy. Game 7, Steph. Right? What have you not covered? Is everything covered already? I mean, what's going on here, man? Great to see all.
Well, we were just asking, are the Kings fans more apt to root for the Lakers or the Warriors in the next round?
Lakers. I don't know. Great question.
They're actually hoping a plane hits the arena and everybody goes up in flames. Yeah, both their team planes collide in midair. That's what the Kings are rooting for. No, but Sai, obviously it was an incredible performance by Steph. We started with that, an all-timer. I mean, this was as good a Steph performance as you're ever going to see. And then, of course, we quickly got on to Kevon fucking Looney. I mean, what can you say? 39th highest paid center in the league, they said in the broadcast, and the game that he had was spectacular. We talked about Kerr. Frank brought up that he thought Kerr made some outstanding adjustments. I personally agree on that front as well.
I didn't see any adjustments. What were the adjustments?
Well, if you remember when Sack was running the high pick and roll at the 3-point line, and in Game 6, the Warriors were late chasing that guy, and they were getting to the basket and getting open shots. What they decided to do was not only have the guy who is guarding the man setting the pick hedge, but they actually switched, a natural switch. And what that did was put the Sacramento players off guard because that lane to the basket wasn't there, and they had a defender on them, and that discombobulated the offense a little bit. So and also to start the third quarter, he started Draymond on Sabonis as opposed to Looney, and they wasn't expecting that either. So there was these little nuances that he injected into the Warriors defense.
This is one of those games where I was so emotionally invested. I was not paying attention to nuance like that. Bravo, man. And
there was one other thing, Cyrus.
They also went to the zone in the second quarter. I thought that zone in the second quarter was effective.
It was. I thought the other thing, and I'm going to bring this to Cyrus, there was one very unique thing that happened, which was it was the adjustment he didn't make that we all kept thinking as fans, if we're honest, why do you keep allowing them while you are in drop coverage to get off open pull-up jumpers? But the critical part was they wanted more so to mess with Sabonis's mental approach to how he could be effective by dishing out 6-7 assists. He did not have a triple-double in this series. And even though there was some pain attached to it, and we definitely know that Monk took advantage of it a lot, you have to give credit that the play in center field just prepared them to handle the onslaught of him trying to drop that sledgehammer right shoulder into people's solar plexus.
Hey, you know what? I have a topic we haven't covered. I don't know. I don't, no knocks on Mike Brown. Like he's been killing it. But that said, I'm a little surprised, and I wonder if you guys like think Kerr was surprised at all that we didn't see any of that super funky all small lineup, because that thing freaked the Dubs out in game 6.
I was a little, I'm not gonna lie, I'm glad you brought that up. I was a little surprised that in the fourth quarter, Mike Brown decided to go with his tried and true. Like we were seeing a lot of Kevin Herter, we were seeing a lot of Keegan Murray. I know they had like good game 6s, but they're not the reason why the Kings won 3 games or at least stayed alive in this series. I didn't notice that. One thing I noticed as well, and I don't know if you guys touched on this, Andrew Wiggins. This team lives and dies with him, and he hasn't been routinely effective with in the box score. Like he's not lighting it up, doing anything outrageous that you're looking at going, whoa, like Wiggins lit it up. But what he did tonight, which I thought was an adjustment. I don't know if you guys noticed this as well, and maybe it's not an adjustment. It's just maybe he remembered like I should be doing this. Is De'Aaron Fox is oftentimes matched up defensively on Wiggins. And for some reason, in game 6, everyone was ineffective. There was just no focus, no energy there. But tonight, Wiggins, time and again, every time he had the ball, started backing him up. He knows he has a lot of size on him and in terms of height and weight. And Wiggins' game, and I was talking with Rick Barry with this earlier, has evolved so much. Like you never saw him playing the post in Minnesota. That's a part of his game that is night and day changed. So where he's now posting up and other teams are putting like a De'Aaron Fox on him, and Wiggins is backing his ass down. De'Aaron Fox only had 16 points in this game, and I think that was a part of the reason is that Wiggins was attacking him time and again, and it was wearing him down. So when Fox had the ball, I mean, the weight of a game 7, the pressure of it's huge. I think you saw that more than anything in the free throw line from both teams. But De'Aaron Fox did not have a great game, and I thought that was a huge part of it as well. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but
great point, Si. No, you're right on.
I'll say this. I thought it was also, I mean, I don't know that Kerr emphasized it, but based on the way the Warriors had been playing in the third, in the second, I should say, the fact that Golden State went 22-9 on the glass in the third quarter, Kerr, I mean, just from listening to the interviews he did with Lisa Salters in this series, he's like, hey, if we can get a couple stops and really rebound. I thought there were a number of guys who were the ball was in the air. I thought Golden State really was a lot better rebounding team as this series progressed than they were at the beginning. And I'll give Kerr some of that credit. I also think that Kerr is, and I don't have proof of this because I didn't hear him say it, but I get the sense that he makes the game. He keeps the guys going into the point where when they sense it's go time, this team goes. I mean, the Warriors came out in that third quarter and they were all business, man. I mean, they were faster to the 50-50 balls. They were, communicating. They were going to the glass. I mean, they Mike Brown even said it, and we got the mic'd up Mike Brown at in the third quarter. He's like, they want it more than we do.
Yeah.
He's like, they want it more than we do. They're getting the 50-50 balls. They're getting the rebounds. I thought it really, Kerr emphasized how important the rebounding element was in this series.
Huge.
And I thought the Warriors rebounded at a key moment, and I bet you if you went back to the previous stoppage, he probably emphasized that because they sure played like every rebound was super, super urgent in that third quarter.
Just to add to that, Larry, they matched. So game 6 and game 1, I thought were really identical in terms of why the Warriors lost. And it started with them getting killed with second chance points, with offensive rebounds. And the Warriors tonight, and that's where, again, Kevon Looney is like, the runner-up for MVP in this game was he had 10 offensive rebounds out of 18 total for the Warriors. That 18 is what Sacramento had in game 6. And it was a difference maker. You're absolutely right. They had 18 offensive rebounds to 14 for Sacramento. They out-rebounded Sacramento 55-49. I do agree with Mike Brown in that huddle where he said that they were just outplaying them. Whether that has to do more with the fact it was a game 7 and Sacramento was just kind of like stunned. Dude, game 7s are huge. I mean, anyone who said experience doesn't matter, you were proven wrong tonight, man. Experience is massive for this reason. I mean, it was affecting some of the Warriors veterans. Klay Thompson did not have a good game. I know he had a clutch second half. He had made a few clutch shots, but I think he finished the game 4 of 19 shooting or something like that. Some atrocious number.
Somehow Pop did the best plus minus. I don't really understand that, but
that's where plus minus is bullshit, dude. That's where it's just
in the
it's
short
a stat you look at.
The short term,
for
in the
one
long
game,
term,
yeah.
good, but Yeah.
Right.
It is amazing. It is amazing, by the way. Kings had 14 offensive rebounds as a team. Looney had 10 by himself.
And he totally made Sabonis. Sabonis was feeling himself. I don't know if you saw that halftime interview, but he totally was feeling himself after that first half. And just every time Looney got an offensive rebound, you just felt the entire arena looking right at Sabonis, and Sabonis felt it. And he was just like, oh, damn it. Damn it. And then he started.
The Warriors starting lineup had 47 rebounds. Everybody in the starting lineup had at least 5 rebounds.
That's amazing.
That's
a group effort.
The challenging part about bad games is when you are a scorer or a shooter, when your best thing isn't there, people take that and it weights really heavy. The plus minus can be a bogus stat, but it's not a bogus stat when you're on the floor for 30 plus minutes. It actually is. It tells you what happens when your group is on the floor. Like a plus minus for a guy who plays 12 minutes, like DiVincenzo played 8 minutes. What was his plus and minus? -6. That we can understand, but to have a plus 30 plus minus, it means that stability was there. And that was really critical for Game 7. Hey, Kobe Bryant won his 5th ring on a night where he went 6 for 24.
Yeah.
At some point, these games do become rock fights, like you said, Ryan, and it becomes what you can do. And the Warriors were definitely shooting rocks from the free throw line in the third quarter. I just love the tenacity. I love the fact that they had a no-die attitude. And there was nothing more thrilling than there was one particular possession where Steph Curry hit a big shot, and he took a look over his left shoulder at the fans.
At the end,
send them a glance to say, hey, you thought you had it, but now you don't.
By the way, today is the 30th of April, not the 20th of April, but Strider Dennis says, Warriors equal Guardians of the Galaxy. Steph is Star-Lord. Clay is Gamora. Wiggins is Drax. Poole is Rocket. And Looney is Groot.
Okay. By the way, Ryan,
try this. Wait. Try this. You're going to love this. No, Looney. Yeah, wait, hold on. I'm going to type this in. Looney's Groot. Yeah, Groot. No, Cy, try this. You're going to love it. You'll be good. It's good stuff.
Hey, what brand is that, Cy?
What the?
Kudos to Ryan for the halftime adjustment, by the way. Bravo.
Oh, yeah. I was so nervous. I didn't know what to do at halftime to fill the time, and so I just showered. I was like, I got to change the outfit, and then I was like,
And then Larry, props for the prediction. He said Warriors in 7 after Game 1, but still, man, you nailed it. Ryan, you said you're leaving, which sucks, but like, so have we talked about Warriors Lakers yet, or have you? What's prediction?
A little bit.
Is it time?
But Rod's been in for a while. Rod, you still got a jet? Because you said you had a jet. I don't want to hold you too late.
Tell her you'll be late.
Oh
yeah. Big night, man. It's a big night. It's a big day.
But on with the big boys.
No, I honestly,
don't fall to peer pressure. Don't fall to peer pressure.
You got Red, Cy, LK, and come on, man.
I don't want to look bad here. You know what I mean? I don't want to be the Groot or whatever. I don't. Really
Yeah.
But no. I said 7 games because honestly, I'm like, it's like I'm pretty confident, but my heart can't take if something crazy happens, injury or whatever. I can't take it. Like if LeBron and the Lakers are somehow able to be.
Can you take this chat from Tammy McDaniel?
Oh, damn it.
I mean, is there anything worse than Tammy McDaniel telling you to grow a pair? I mean, does it get worse? Right, we'll let you go, brother. Have a great rest of your weekend. If you're around Tuesday night, Lakers Warriors game 1.
My last thing I'm going to say is like tomorrow is and this one's for all the fans out there because I know they feel the same freaking way. Tomorrow's one of those where like you're catching every show. You're watching a little bit of Skip and Shannon. You're watching a little bit of Stephen A. You're watching. You want to hear what Hurd has to say. You're listening to Bill Simmons. You're listening to everyone because tomorrow's going to be like a generational sort of like deriding of Steph, and I cannot wait.
You got to hear Guru and Steiny. Come on, man.
Oh yeah.
You got to hear Guru.
I love my local boys, but
you got to hear Guru and Steiny.
See you, Rye. There you go. The great Rye Smith checking in. on the Krug show. Guru and Steiny, is that your jam? You know, Guru's a good guy. You know, I didn't realize you know Guru.
Guru's a hooper too.
I know. Is Guru good?
He's
Or is he
pretty good.
or does he cherry pick threes?
Oh no. He played at Cal State Hayward. He's a pretty good player.
Oh, did he really? Oh, good. I didn't know that.
He played at Cal State Hayward. I didn't know
It's
that.
in East Bay, folks. It's been East
Hey,
Bay
I'm
for like.
gonna give you another one that you don't know. The great comedian Mark Curry played at Cal State Hayward from
Yes,
hanging
that
with
I actually
Mr.
did know.
Cooper.
That I did know
Yeah.
because he would in the 80s or the 90s when the Warriors just were starving for attention. I remember they were highlighting that. Like Mark Curry he played like a day or was it on the show he played? I can't remember. There's some sort of tie in there, but
He did like a one-day contract or
Yeah.
something. It was kind of funny.
When I was years ago, 2005, seems like almost a different life ago. I'm at KMBR. They said, "Hey Krug, we've got a sponsored tournament coming up by Allstate. Will you do the sponsorship?" And once I heard sponsorship, I said yes. It was like, you know, I was the guy who'd be like, "Hey, will you do an ad for?" And I'd be like, "Yeah."
You're right.
And they're like, "Oh, we didn't even say it yet." I mean, literally, in the entire time I was on the radio, I turned down very few ads. I turned down a plastic surgeon who wanted to freeze my fat. I told him, I said, I can't freeze my fat. I'm sorry.
what
Sorry.
does that mean? Like they
It
cut
was like
off-
some treatment. It's like doctor whatever. You can free. There's people that freeze their fat.
like
Yeah,
through the
it sounds
skin?
awful. It sounds
I'm having a
awful.
hard time like picturing this. Like through the skin. What do you mean?
I
by
would
that?
I would just Google it, freeze your
Okay,
fat,
okay.
and
I'll
just
freeze the fat.
be
Freeze the
careful
fat.
about the images that may come
Sure.
up there.
Hey.
But so they said to me, "Hey, we got a sponsored deal. Will you coach a 3-on-3 team? And they're going to play at the Cow Palace, and they're going to do ads on the station and this and that." And I'm like, "Yeah, what the hell? I'll do that." And went to Carl and said, "Carl, man, I need some players, you know, because we needed to have players." And Carl found me 3 former college basketball players, and we went to the qualifier at the Cow Palace, which was literally the last time I've been in the Cow Palace, and we won.
Yes, we did.
We won, and we went to St. Louis for the Final Four. It was the year that Sean May and the Carolina Tar Heels knocked off Darren Williams and Luther Head and the Illini with Weber as the coach. But Carl, who were those guys? Do you remember? Do you know those guys still to this day? Do you?
Man,
I mean,
I still have the trophy. I think it surprised you. You didn't know I could still score like I could. I'd have to go look at my whole roster though. But I used to get to a lot of finals and 3-on-3 tournaments, like the Hoop It Ups and the Bud Ball and some of that stuff.
we had a good team though. We had a big man. We had a point guard.
Yes.
And they were all like kind of Northern California or at least Western regional college players, weren't they?
If I'm not mistaken, our point guard was my guy, LaRon Patton. And man, you're going to make me go back and look through my stuff. I'll find out who those
We
guys
had a big man who had a kind of a Zach Randolph kind of a game, you know?
Yes, he did. He was a big boy, Red. He liked to shoot it soft off the glass.
Okay.
We were the team that played like the 1981 Houston Rockets with Allen Level and
Oh boy.
Big Moses Malone and Robert Reed. We took our time. We weren't in a hurry because we were like the oldest team in the tournament. And they looked at us like, "Oh, we're gonna beat these older guys." Because we were like in our 30s, but they found out we weren't as easy as they thought.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. All right, Cy, give us your thoughts on Warriors Lakers, and let's go around the room on Warriors Lakers. Who are we going to see? Kuminga? Are we going to see more minutes for Moody?
I hope so.
Who that played in this round is not going to play in the next round? What's the big adjustment here?
Well, props to Steve Kerr for playing Moody, and he played him early, right? Like, I mean, I thought that was one of the problems with Game 6 is that like we didn't see Gary Payton the second until well into the second quarter, and and Moody's just been so effective this series. I think he's just a great player. Period. He's going to be he'll be Klay Thompson's replacement. I believe that. So I'm props for that, and I thought Moody played great. I will maintain with absolute conviction that if we'd seen Kuminga, if we'd seen JaMychal Green, even Anthony Lamb, those 7 minutes he played in Game 3, I thought were awesome. If we had seen that, especially in Game 6, we would not be in this situation in Game 7. And against the Lakers, I love this matchup. Besides the home court advantage aspect of it, which is huge. I mean, the fact that the Warriors are just driving home tonight is amazing. It's absolutely what a massive advantage. If this was any other team besides Sacramento, they'd be dealing with a flight right now. You'd barely have a moment before you're playing again. And if it was any other team besides the Lakers, it would be just a few moments before you're on the road for 2 games. So that part of it is clutch. I love the home court advantage. I love the fact that the Lakers are a much slower team. Yes, they're bigger, but they don't match the athleticism we just saw in Sacramento. Sacramento is a team that runs people off the court. The Lakers
it's the best offensive team. They're the best offensive team according to rating the league's ever seen.
Yeah, and the Kings are not like that. Or, I'm sorry, the Lakers are not like that. The Lakers are all about setting up the half court. They're big. They want to kind of play bully ball with you. But I feel like when it comes to matchups, which is what the playoffs is all about, take that season record, the 3-1 the Lakers won, and throw that away means absolutely nothing. It comes down to the matchups for these two teams. Draymond Green knows Anthony Davis because Anthony Davis is the best player for the Lakers. I love LeBron. I do. What he's doing right now is absolutely incredible. I respect him tremendously. I fear him. But Anthony Davis is the most dangerous player on the Lakers team, in my opinion. And the Warriors have the antithesis for that in Draymond Green. Draymond Green has always played Anthony Davis tough and played him effectively. And I don't think if the Lakers have a chance in this series, it's going to be because of Anthony Davis just running amok. It's going to be that depth and whether or not the Warriors match it. So I really hope we see Jonathan Kuminga. I really hope we see even just a little bit of JaMychal or Anthony Lamb or just some size, because you're going to have to bring some physical toughness to this series. I hope we see a quicker trigger finger on Jordan Poole. Poole had an awful series. I can't defend virtually anything he did. I know he made 1 3 today, but his defense, he's a turnstile. And while he's got mental toughness, I don't have patience for him this year. He's still very young. He's 23. And I think
he mugs for calls, and he's not getting those calls.
No.
But he doesn't refuse to make he refuses to adjust to the fact that he's not getting calls. He's just getting more and more pouty and more upset about it.
Very pouty, like towards his own teammates. Even it's weird. So I think this is a series that the Warriors can win in 5 or 6, and that's what I don't know how many. I don't think it's going to go to 7 again. I just think the Warriors are a better team. It honestly wouldn't surprise me if either LeBron or Davis. I'm not wishing this. Okay, this is not me wanting this, but it wouldn't surprise me based on durability issues that those two have at this stage of their careers. It wouldn't surprise me if one of those two players just suddenly comes up gimpy and then they're done. I like a lot of people have been surprised the Lakers have gone this far without any serious injuries so far. I think the Warriors take this, man. The Kings scared me a lot more than this Lakers team. I respect them tremendously, man. Anthony Davis, LeBron James, dude, that's wild. Like that the Warriors have to face this now. But Wiggins is so good. I think Wiggins is going to give LeBron headaches. I think Gary Payton II is going to ruffle feathers because, again, Gary Payton II, like the Kings were so fast that it kind of caused even him problems. You're not going to see that in this series, man. Like half-court teams is what Gary Payton II was literally made for. So I'm excited, man. I'm feeling a lot better about this than the Kings. That's my take.
Curry, by the way, second player at the age of 35 or older to score 200 points in a playoff series, joining Michael Jordan. Jordan did it in the 98 finals against Utah, the conference finals, and the NBA finals. Cy, you put out a picture of Poole. I'm looking through your Twitter right now. I don't know if you took it down, but no, here it is. You said I would not call this a good look for the Warriors going into Game 7, and curious if any media members who have full access to the players and coaches are going to ask any of them about it. I've watched this video about 10 times. It's the Warriors in the last game walking over to the bench. And what are you referring to?
This was my tweet?
Yeah, this is your tweet.
Yeah, this was if you and I missed it the first time. I immediately sent it to Rick Barry because I was like, what do you think about this, man? And he missed it the first time. And you have to look at Jordan Poole's reaction.
Oh, to Green when he pushes
Draymond
Green away.
And it looks worse.
Oh, I
than
didn't see that. I watched it 5 times before I saw that.
So it looks worse, and obviously all of your reactions to this, but it looks worse than I think it really is. And he's just basically just grabbing Draymond's green, just like taking, like he just didn't want anything, like he didn't want anyone else dealing with him.
Hold
There's
on a
another
second. I'm gonna share the screen here so these guys can see it.
And there's another clip as well where I don't know if it's the same play, but like Poole did the same thing to Klay Thompson, where Klay Thompson's kind of like affectionately putting his arms around him, trying to comfort him, and Poole just grabs the arm and just tosses it and just wants nothing to do.
Here's Poole walking off. Watch right there. See him Green?
Like no.
Green went over to say something to him, and he's just like kind of brushed him off, and then he sat at the end of the bench. And I could have swore when Kerr got in the huddle here, he said, "Jordan, join us."
He did.
Yeah, he went to Jordan and spoke to him for a second right after he saw that. And then there's like another clip, and that one I just retweeted, where like Klay Thompson does the same thing. Like he comes to comfort Poole, and Poole just grabs the arm and just it's weird reaction, man. I don't know what to make of it, but I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I would love your thoughts.
I think it had a lot to do with just his overall frustration with how he was playing. It's very clear that wasn't directed at Draymond the person. That was directed at anybody in the Warrior personnel group that would have stopped him. It would have been the same if it had been Ryan Rollins or if it had been one of their coaches.
Steph Curry?
Yeah. I mean,
Steph Curry?
You can see Steph, though. When Steph went over to go talk to him, it was clear he was in his zone. Let me deal with my zone. You know, some of us, when we deal with our frustration, we want to go in our own personal cave. And I think that might have been the frustration. We know that Jordan is a very emotional player. He's also an incredibly gifted player. And part of the growing pains of expectation is being critiqued on everything. Mm-hmm. And it just gets amplified today in the social media world. I mean, 20 years ago, nobody would have noticed that clip because there wouldn't be all of the cameras that are in the arena that are shooting video at the same time the TV cameras are. But I don't think there was any malice intended in what he did to Draymond, because the next time he got on the floor, there wasn't any issues. I think this series was challenging for him. Remember last year in the first round when they played Denver, he had certain challenges at certain times and he started others. I think the Lakers series is built for him, because he's going to get a chance to actually do his thing. And they don't, like everybody has said, have the level of defensive guard perimeter play to be able to frustrate him or Steph. So he's going to get a lot more open shots and a lot of opportunities to attack the basket. Just hopefully he's smart enough to make that next pass if he drives baseline to kick it to the corner or to find a guy on the wing. So it's going to be a fun series.
We got this one from Strider Dennis. He says, when Dubs win the ring again, I say Ben & Jerry's makes a new flavor called Warriors Krueger Crunch, vanilla ice cream, and blue and yellow M&Ms. There you go.
Add some some sort of like, if you can get chocolate, like cookie pieces with the M&Ms in it, now you're talking. Like, just add that in there, right? But I love the idea, man. Absolutely.
MF drops the Larry. Will Mel Kiper get ripped if this Niners draft is epic? I don't know if you guys heard that, but Mel Kiper,
I did not.
Basically said the Warriors had a bad draft. He said they had the worst draft. The Niners had a bad draft. But, you know, the funny thing about it is, so I read a headline saying, oh, Mel Kiper says the Niners had the worst draft. And he gave them the worst grades. So then I looked down. Do you realize that he did give them the worst grade? And you know what his worst grade was?
Wow.
You know what the worst grade that Mel Kiper gave out for the draft?
C?
No, B minus.
Oh, even that's
what kind of, I'd like to take that class.
So I'm not
and all anybody. You people who did terrible got a B minus.
Right. I'm not gonna anybody.
He's been stealing money for a long time.
I mean, that's how you basically kiss butt around the league, right there.
Exactly.
It's like,
yeah.
Hey man, you said we had the word. No, hey man, I said I gave you a B minus. I mean, is it really that bad of a? Was I really that critical?
There's only one group that's upset, and it's the Niners. It's like that's.
Yeah. Well, and people didn't want to. I noticed the headline. The headline didn't say Mel Kiper gives the Niners draft a B minus, because that's like a, you know.
Right,
but if you say, oh, Mel Kiper gives the Niners draft the worst grade of any of the other, you know.
That is funny though. I don't know what Mel Kiper's history is with that grading thing, but if that's what if regardless, he clearly didn't want to hear it from anyone this year. He's like, I'm not in the mood. I'm not in the mood for the negativity.
Mel Kiper's strange. Do you know that he eats an entire pumpkin pie every day?
No, I did not know that.
Oh, what?
Eats an entire pumpkin pie every day.
What?
By the way, Larry, that's TMI.
Seriously. I mean, and he started talking about it on the show. I was like, what? You got to be kidding me.
So he's got a fridge full of them? Like that's wild, man. That's absolutely wild. Yeah.
This one is interesting. HR says, FYI, we won the GP2 Wiseman trade with that series win. Do you guys agree with that? I don't.
Nah.
Very
I mean, you had GP2 last summer and you let it go. You didn't win anything. And then you let an asset go for basically nothing. So, I mean, come on, man. No.
Yeah.
It's like somebody letting their insurance elapse and then getting caught up. And I'm insured, great.
Let me say this. If the Warriors win the championship, yes. But anything short of that, and you gotta break that down. I mean, it's not 100% thing, right? Like, I mean, Wiseman was the future. You just gave up the future, and for what? To win now. So if you win now, right? I mean, I don't know. Do you think that's crazy? You
will be validated if you win it all now.
Yeah,
but don't tell me you're validated because a guy that you should have paid $8 million a year to, but we're too stupid to. You don't pay GP2 $8 million, but you pay Jordan Poole $35 million. Then you give away your 21-year-old center for a 30-year-old injured two guard. And then you win one series against Sacramento and all's forgotten? Come on.
We all have to look at this. If the Warriors would have played to their level during the regular season, what do they end up winning? Let's say 18 road games and lose 24.
Okay, yeah.
They go 18-24. That's a 7-game difference. If they had 7 more victories and 7 less losses, what seed would the Warriors be in the Western Conference?
I think 2. I think I'm almost positive 2.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, because I think the Nuggets, and you'd be right behind the Nuggets. I think the Nuggets finished 10 games ahead of the Warriors. So, yeah, this year was weird. There's no one really ran away with it.
You'd be a 2 or 3 seed, which is exactly where you are right now. You're playing a 7 seed, and
incredible. Bravo.
In essence, you become the 3 seed.
Bravo, Carl. I'm not going to be able to credit you every time I steal that and use it, but thank you. That's it's beautiful.
You better credit him. Vicky Boone says, Larry, you gave the Niners a B-. Yeah, and I thought I was being somewhat critical, but I mean, I like their draft. He called it the worst draft in the league and gave him a B-. Well, my point is just that he's giving everybody a good grade so that when they say, hey, Mel gave us a good grade. Yeah, Mel gave everybody a good grade. All right, let's pump the brakes.
And we both know you can't grade a draft until minimum after the first season, if not the second.
Yeah, I would say 3 years.
Can I ask a question that's bugging me because I don't know how to answer this? Maybe I do. Which fans are worst? The Kings fans that you've been hearing lately, or the Lakers fans who you're about to listen to?
Well, the Kings fans are a good fan. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, I thought I was inspired by their Sacramento chant in the fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. Seriously, it's like, you know what? These people have pride. They're prideful about Sacramento. They're into their team. They've supported it well. There's been a lot of lean years. The Laker fan is so. You think the Warrior fans are spoiled? The Laker fans are the most spoiled. I mean, the Lakers really, in my lifetime, built one championship team, the Magic Kareem team, and they've been literally benefiting from building that one team ever since. Kobe demanded to go there. Shaq bolted there in free agency. Otherwise, that whole dynasty doesn't even exist. Their win in the bubble was phantom. I mean, they haven't. LeBron doesn't go there unless the Lakers are the Lakers. It was all built up on their name. They're not like the Warriors. They're not like the Kings. They're not like every other team in the league. They don't have to rebuild. I mean, this year.
And don't forget, Larry, they got a stimulus package when they got Paul Gasol, because that was a very specific trade to a very specific team.
Yep. Yes, it was.
Supposedly Kobe wouldn't play for anybody but the Lakers, right? Didn't Shaq take less to leave Orlando than he would have made in Orlando if he had stayed there? Probably, right? Didn't they have some incentives to stay?
No, you're right.
Personally,
They're
I don't think the Laker fan really appreciates what it feels like to be a have-not.
You're right.
They've been a have-not for like relatively like 30 minutes, while the rest of us have been have-nots for generations. So it's like it's sorry if I don't have a warmth for Laker fans.
I love it. I love it.
I also think they're super. I mean, I'll say this though, they're passionate. I mean, you drive through LA, nothing resonates there except for the Lakers.
Yeah. Purple.
I don't know why that is, but that's definitely the case.
Showtime, because it's Showtime, man. It's
They win a
literally
lot.
the entire theme of that whole culture is in a basketball team. It's pretty.
I mean, Kobe Bryant, the impact that Kobe Bryant had on that market was absolutely amazing. I remember driving around, taking the kids to Disneyland a number of years ago, and guy teased on the AM 570. Coming up next, what Kobe had for breakfast. It's like, what? Really? And he's like, yeah, what Kobe had for breakfast coming up next. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't know what's a bigger joke, the fact that he teased that or the fact that that is probably a tease that works.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Could you imagine? Hey, I can't get out of the car. I got to hold on. I got to find out what Kobe had for breakfast. I mean, it was like crazy. It was crazy.
And it dates even back to like Kareem, right? I mean, because Kareem wanted to go there too, I think. And this was even before they were like known for being like this, like the destination spot. I feel like Magic was the one true organic player, right?
Magic was organic. They made a great trade to land them James Worthy with the Cavs, right? That was an incredible trade. Otherwise, they don't get Worthy.
Hey, no one says that Ted Septian gave away that franchise. Under normal circumstances, O'Brien would have never let that trade go through with any other team. And don't forget that Wilt also wanted to go there.
Right.
These are not accidents. Hollywood gives you some unique advantages.
Yep.
I'll say this. Very impressed by Pelinka's rebuild on the run this year. I mean, that didn't seem like trades that were benefited. The Lakers benefited because of the Lakers. That's just Pelinka making great moves. I mean, unless you guys know something I don't know.
No, I agree.
I couldn't believe how little the Lakers gave up for Rui Hachimura.
Incredible. That frustrates me because that means why couldn't the Warriors do a trade like that?
Exactly. Rui's a great guy. He's a combo forward. He's a great athlete.
Yeah.
He can run and jump and play both 3 and 4. They got him for nothing. And then I thought the Warriors. I was hoping maybe if the Warriors going to move Wiseman, they would have gotten like a big man that maybe they could use, like a Mo Bamba or something. And then Mo Bamba goes to the Lakers. And then I was thinking maybe the Warriors get Malik Beasley. And then the Lakers got Malik Beasley. And then I'm like, well, maybe the Warriors get Jared Vanderbilt. And the Lakers got Jared Vanderbilt.
You're right. And we're doing all this.
I mean, seriously.
They got all those players, and yet you still got the Warriors in 5 or 6.
True.
Because the Lakers are a good, what were they? 7 seed, 8 seed?
7.
Kings are a 3 seed. Kings also have a couple All-Stars and maybe, I'll tell you, Malik Monk, and I mentioned it earlier in this series, and this is dating myself, but he reminded me of Andrew Toney as far as this guy can come off the bench and go for 40. And he did this year against the Clippers in an overtime game or double overtime game, but still. Malik Monk is I'll say this, when you play a series, at the end of the series, you have new respect for guys on the other team, and you have less respect for guys on the other team. Mm-hmm. On this team, I have less respect for Sabonis. I think his skill level is somewhat limited. I have less respect for Harrison Barnes, who again shrunk in the moment. I have less respect for Kevin Huerter, who when there was money on the table, he kind of evaporated. I have more respect for De'Aaron Fox. I've got more respect for Keegan Murray, who grew up in this series and made the adjustments. I have more respect for Trey Lyles, who I now see as a very viable shooter from the perimeter. I got way, way more respect for Davion Mitchell. I thought he was terrific. And the most respect is for Malik Monk. Malik Monk is awesome. I mean, he is an awesome player. Now today he had a 4 for 14 night or afternoon. GP2 probably had something to do with that. The link they put on him had something to do with that. But he was
on the
that was
radar
my
today.
biggest takeaway was that Malik Monk was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
The
Hey.
Kings are great analysis, man. You're right. Yeah, Kings are a damn good team. Damn good team. They can be excited about the future. They're gonna leave this like not with their heads down. You know, they're stoked.
Hey, all I know is Gary Payton II gets the Draymond Green Award because he blocked 3 jump shots.
Yeah,
That was
and-
an amazing job.
And the moment was special. It was one of those back-breaking moments also. So he had a great game. And it was interesting because his first half was not very good. And yet, when it mattered most, he was a problem for Sacramento. I think he's going to be a problem for the Lakers also because, I mean, their guards are efficient, but I wouldn't call them good. None of them. Even Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves is a solid basketball player that's kind of come out of nowhere that you have to be aware of. And Kerr is aware of everybody. So he'll put GP2 on him.
Mhm.
D'Angelo Russell, he can make open shots. He doesn't make as many contested shots. You know, I mean, I think six games. But if the Warriors lose to the Lakers, I would be very, very surprised by that.
HR says Poole for Monk. Done. I'd make that trade in a second. Would you?
Where do I
Would
sign?
you?
Yeah, where do,
Yeah. You know, I'll
Just
throw
based
in
on-
I'll throw in a sixer.
Yeah.
what a PS5. Man.
Wait a second. I'll throw in some. Oh, I don't. They're back here. I was about to say the Krug Show shirts. I got the Casera shirts. I'll throw in a Krug Show shirt and Poole for Monk. Will that get it done?
And Ray for Days, who asked who's guarding LeBron and AD, I'll say it again, man. Wiggins and Draymond Green. They got the answer for that. I'm feeling great about it.
Can I ask you guys one question that I would love to say is my own question, but I'm stealing it from the chat?
Of course.
El Camilo Dorado, Draymond Green to Sacramento. If you're Mike Brown, do you go to Monty McNair and say, if you guys are serious about winning a title, let's go get Draymond Green?
Come on, Red.
From a basketball perspective, it definitely works. They definitely get better. But from a coaching perspective, my head hurts. You know, I mean,
Mike Brown's the guy who can bear hug him, though.
Yeah, I mean, listen. Regardless of the way Draymond plays, he's not the easiest player to coach. He isn't. So when you accept him, you accepting the entire Draymond Green experience.
True.
Now, if you're about winning and the Warriors are getting funny with the money, Draymond helps you get to that next level. But you have to be really specific. 3-year deal. You got to have long nights and conversations. Maybe employ his uncle to bring him out here or somebody to keep him together. But from a basketball perspective, it works. It really does work very well. He's going to help the younger guys develop a certain bravado that I don't think that they had. And I think that hurt them today. And he's still very, very good. He impacts the game. Steph Curry's not going to allow that to happen, though.
No.
No, it's not.
No way in hell.
Could you imagine that?
No way.
The biggest guy who would have to adjust with that decision would be De'Aaron Fox. Not because they wouldn't do a great job in pick and roll. They would be excellent in pick and roll. But it takes away the ability of him handling the ball as much because Dre has to be one of your decision makers. And on their team, they've already decided that guy's Sabonis. It would help because it makes one of your biggest challengers not as good. And we know he could bring a veteran status. The question would be, could he then play the 4 and Keegan Murray plays the 3? And then, of course, you'd have to let go of Harrison Barnes because that's probably not going to be a combination you're going to keep. Plus, you'd need that money because you can't pay Harrison and play Draymond. But and Frank and I go back and forth on this from time to time. I just believe that $28 million that's still in the barn, that's on his option, is going to be hard to say no to. And I think at the end of the day, Warrior leadership is going to go, how do we find a creative way to get this guy to stay because he's a
I hope
part.
you're right about that. I
he's a
really
part
believe he's
of
going to
our
opt out.
history. He's
Well,
a
and
part of our
if I'm Draymond, I think, I mean, I don't, maybe this is another debate. Is Draymond's Hall of Fame resume complete, or you think it's done? Okay, because I was going to say I think his career plays better and looks better if he stays here and wins another title than if he
True.
goes to another team.
But if he wants money, it's a different story. I mean, I will say this.
What's he making this year?
He's about 27 and change.
Yeah, so I think he'll be all right. I think he's going to be okay. Yeah, he'll be all right.
I'm 99.9% certain, though, he's opting out. There's just too much interest around the league. There are quite a few teams who will make the room, even if they don't have it right now, who can make the room, who would love to have a player like him. Like I think of the Mavericks.
Just
for
pay
example.
him. Just pay him his money.
So you're going to have to pay him. He's and like, but then someone brought a perspective of someone.
I'd rather pay him than pay Clay.
But fortunately, you can have that discussion in separate years. Because that's a tricky one. But I heard that, and I don't know if this is true, but that his desire for a max, because he did say that before the season started. He said, "I have 4 more years after this year. I'm confident that I can give that, and that's the contract I want. I want a max deal." But it's unknown if the max part of it includes the money part, or if it's just the length of a deal plus an annual amount that he finds fair, whether that's what he makes now, more, I don't know. But I'm really certain he's going to opt out just because there's too much money and interest, man. There are a lot of teams. I mean, PJ Tucker got a fat deal and he's 38. Like, and that part. So it's just up to the Warriors, whether or not they're going to try to keep him.
And up to Green.
Think about what we saw last night. Do you see how pathetic Phoenix looks? Yeah. I mean, do you know how horrible they are defensively?
Yeah.
They can't trade DeAndre Ayton fast enough. And they should have traded him or just let him go to Indiana. They literally could take an average center and insert Draymond into that lineup, and they'd be a better team next year.
Oh.
They really would.
Yeah. Mace Powell says, I saw that long hug between Draymond and Fox. I read his lips. I'll see you in SAC next year after I opt out. I think that's exactly what he said.
That's
Wait a
funny.
second. We actually have a quote here.
Don't even joke about that, man. Come on.
Before we end this thing, and we're here at the end of the show, and I appreciate you guys hanging for so long. Knicks lose to the Heat in Game 1 in that series. Who do you guys got there, Frank? Are your Knicks gonna come back? I mean, are you surprised the Miami Heat took down Milwaukee and are now up 1-0? We're talking about a 44-win team that was well under 500 on the road. Are you surprised by? I'm talking about Miami.
Yeah, they're the same. Yeah, I was
very
joking.
surprised by that. I mean, especially when you consider how well the Knicks were playing early. But Miami's one of those teams, like the Warriors. They don't have as many championships, but they rise to the moment and they win because of their physicality. And I think they miss Julius Randle. I mean, which is weird for me to say that because I think that they're probably a little more cohesive without him, but they needed that big brother to lean on, and they didn't have that today. So I still think the Knicks are winning 7, but yes, I was very, very surprised that they lost Game 1.
Who do you guys think, who wins that series, guys?
Well, the Miami Heat are in a lot of ways like the Warriors. They just minus the trophies recently, but dude, I mean, Pat Riley is Pat Riley's one of those guys I just have so much respect for. Everyone does, man. I've never heard a single bad word uttered about him. He was there at the beginning of the Lakers whole thing, and he turned the Miami Heat from a kind of a joke franchise into a very reputable organization. I mean, maybe joke's a strong word, but they weren't what they were before Pat. And he's still there, he's still the mastermind of that whole thing. I know Eric Spoelstra is a great coach. No disrespect. He's a great coach, man. I mean, that's part of it too. But I mean, this is a Pat Riley led team and organization, with Spo as his number one guy who's, orchestrating the thing. They got their Iggy and Udonis Haslem there. It's just, so they're built, they're a very successfully modeled organization. Jimmy Butler is just a baller, who is total evidence right there in terms of a postseason switch. I mean, he's just a different guy. Like in the postseason, I don't think he just cares enough in the regular season to put his body through the rigor. But in the postseason, dude, he's a beast, and I love him, man. I love watching that guy play. So they're better, I think, than the record shows. just like the Warriors. Like the Warriors are a 44-win team too. Warriors are even worse on the road. But it really would not shock me if these two teams met in the finals. It wouldn't. I think the Warriors would take care of them, but the Heat are good, man.
And when I look at this series, Larry, I go back to something that Frank said in this regard. Julius Randle is like Iron Man for the Knicks. Iron Man doesn't operate as well with the rest of the Marvel crew, but when you put him on his own, he's great. He needs that ability to feel like a hero. He wants to feel like the superhero. When he struggled in the series before, the smartest thing in the world was that their head coach did exactly Tibbs did exactly what we would do as coaches. We would take out our best player because you're not giving us your best effort for the group dynamic. But they really needed him, and you could see the effects of it today because he might have been able to carry them tonight. He might have finished with 29 and 16 and got 14, 15 free throws. If he's compromised in this series, and definitely if he can't play, they cannot beat Miami. If he's not compromised, I do think this will go 7 because I just don't think Miami has the ability to consistently score. Eventually, Tibbs is going to come up with a defense that's going to cause Jimmy a little bit more problems. So the question then becomes, what do you do when you get all those offensive rebounds, which the Knicks are going to do? If you have enough scores, then, of course, you can make it work. I just wish they had one less lefty and one more righty in their offensive side of their attack. But I love Jalen Brunson. He's one of my favorite players in the NBA.
Dude, yes.
And if Barrett can play well in this series defensively and Hart gives him what he's capable, this will go 7. And can you imagine a 7th game in Madison Square Garden, Red, as a New Yorker?
On fire, man. I mean, there's nothing like Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, agreed.
There really isn't because the Knicks.
Is it the building or the people?
Both.
I think. They have like this lighting system that's kind of golden. It's not like the normal lighting. It's kind of like theater lighting, actually. And I mean, the other thing, no disrespect to the Lakers. I think that their celebrities actually know basketball also, but the Knicks celebrities really know basketball. Yeah. And I think that builds on the ambiance. I mean, hey, man, I guarantee you, if we got John McEnroe on this show, the Krug show, he would light the board up, not simply because of his presence and his bravado, because of his basketball knowledge. Their celebrities really know basketball.
Yeah, I mean, their passion for it is great. I mean, the electricity that you feel in that arena. Alex Breitler goes with this one. Larry, you still feel like the Dubs have zero chance against the Nuggets if they get that far? I do think Denver's got too much. I think they got a lot of guys in the prime of their career. Jokic just had 24 and 19, in the first game against Phoenix. So yeah, I like Denver. Gordon, prime. Porter, prime. Jokic, prime. Jamal Murray had 34, 9 assists, 5 rebounds in game 1. Brown off the bench gives them some offense. I'm a little worried about Denver's bench, and I won't say the Warriors have no chance, but I like Denver. I like Denver to win that series. What do you guys? If Warriors Denver, how do you guys see Warriors Denver? I think the
Warriors could handle. I think the Warriors. It could be a feisty, long series. I think the Warriors could beat them. I know this may sound weird, but part of me feels like the Warriors just got rid of their hardest opponent in the West. I really do, man. The Kings are so fast and so athletic, and the Warriors are just not that anymore. They've been, and the Kings kind of have that title now, even if they didn't win the series, but they're not going to see that again. They're not going to see a team like that again. And it's a lot easier to adjust to a team that maybe runs good half-court sets or runs a good offense versus a team that is just so damn athletic. There's nothing you could do if they're on fire, which was what I thought the Kings were. Like the Lakers are a slow, plodding kind of old team. The Nuggets, like Nikola Jokic, does not play defense. Like he can't. He can try, but he's not going to stop anyone on the Warriors. The Nuggets will need like Jamal Murray, who's still fresh off that ACL injury. It's only been like a year or so. And that always sticks in my mind for players, man. Like the first year back, you rarely, if ever, are like where you need to be. Like Jamal Murray next year, I think will be a lot more dangerous. The Nuggets are just going to have to play 4 games out of 7. They're absolute A game to beat the Warriors. Is it possible? Yeah. But I think the Warriors, these next 2 rounds, I think we'll make it. And then we'll have a discussion about my confidence in the finals. That's me.
We shall see. What do you guys think? Warriors Nuggets. Carl, what do you think? Nuggets have a bunch of guys in their prime. Warriors have been there before, but I just think if by the time we get to that series, Golden State to me looks like they're still kind of unless they can find a way in this series to play play Kuminga, play Moody, change the feel. Their veterans worked really hard this round. I don't know that they can keep working this hard and have enough to beat Denver.
The one thing that helps Golden State is that they were able to defeat the Kings, not just because that's the only way they could move on, but they get a series with home court. They did not want to have to see the Nuggets, having played 2 other series, having to win games on the road to guarantee you're going to get it. The other thing is we saw in this series, if you lose a home game, now you got to win 2 road games. If the Warriors get by the Lakers, which I believe they will, and they play the Nuggets end up beating Phoenix. I think the Nuggets are the best team in the West based on talent and depth. I think when you're playing a playoff series, though, a lot of it, of course, is matchup. The other part is who can execute in the last 3 minutes when it really counts.
Mm-hmm.
We saw some of that today in this game. The Warriors blitzed them in the third quarter, but it wasn't even a great blitz. It was kind of a 2/3 blitz because they missed a lot of bunnies and they missed a lot of free throws. But then the fourth quarter, when they needed to make big shots, they made some big shots, even some guys who had not hit a lot. The Nuggets are very confident. They're not arrogant like the Grizzlies, but they're very confident. And the hard thing about confidence is when you miss and then you got to do the post-game interview, you're still confident you should have won, but unfortunately the other team has another W and they're that much closer to 16 wins instead of being out. So that's a pick 'em for me right now, only because I need to see health. If there's anybody nicked up going into that series, that could potentially sway me in one way or the other if those 2 teams met up. But I'm not done on Phoenix because I'm like Kevin Durant said yesterday. Let's see what happens in game 2.
All right.
If Phoenix finds a way, that top-end talent could end up paying off.
Hey, guys, what do you think it will take for us to convince Carl to just maybe go back and sit down at that baby grand piano and just play us a ditty or two? You just play us a couple songs. No, I'm just joking.
My wife does the music, Larry. I'm not musically inclined. I just like to listen to it.
I've got a buddy who looks like he's got a very similar looking backdrop. Frank, go ahead. You wanted to jump in on Warriors Denver. What do you think?
Well, I think 2 things. Jamal Murray's usage rate concerns me. If I'm the coach of the Denver Nuggets, I'm very, very concerned because he's really effective when he's shooting. When he's not shooting, he really has no role on the team. He's not a defender. He doesn't set picks. And he's really confident and he's really, really good. But when you look at the Denver players, none of them are effective unless the ball is in their hands. So, like Carl said, the last 3 minutes of the game is based on execution. They have the most talent. They are the best team, in my opinion. But if you look at that game against Phoenix, the first game, it was the dirty man, Aaron Gordon, who said, you know what? I need to solidify this game. He's the guy who took the ball from the top of the key extended and muscled his way to the basket for 2 or 3 grimy layups. That game was kind of in the balance. That's not going to happen against the Warriors if they make it to that point. So Denver has to execute better. Mike Malone is kind of a cheerleader, not necessarily a great executor, in my opinion, compared to Kerr. So the house is going to be on fire if they don't make it to the Western Conference Finals and ultimately win. But when I look at the Warriors, I think the Warriors are set up to, from the neck up, beat this team at a hair at the finish line to win that series. But Denver has the best personnel, in my opinion.
Guys, great show today. We're 2 hours and 24 minutes roughly into this live stream. It's 5 minutes to 6. I hear my dog barking, so that means she wants to go for a walk. So I will have to cut out. And I just appreciate you guys' time. I'd love for you guys to join me during the Lakers series if you have any time. These roundtables are a lot of fun. And regular season basketball, I don't know if I get too dialed in, but for postseason basketball, I get very dialed in.
Well, especially after this.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I'm going to play some spots here. If anybody needs to jump,
hey, before you go, your brother. I mean, you're totally like fuck the beam, right? I mean, you're talking all this shit to him.
We're not talking anymore.
There you go.
It's fractured the family. Red, good to see you, man.
Right, take care, you guys.
Carl, good to see you. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Take care. Appreciate you. Cy. Oh, look who's in the green room suddenly. Look who's in the green room.
I'm done, man. I gotta go.
Okay.
I'm tapped.
Well, it would just be the me and JD show.
Yeah,
I'll go a couple more minutes with JD. There we go. And on that note, nobody can clear a room like John Dickinson. What's up, JD? You caught us right at the end, but I'd be remiss. You're as knowledgeable a Warrior observer as any. This was an epic performance by Kevon Looney, an incredible performance by Steph Curry, maybe the best of his career, definitely among the best in his career. Give me your perspective on what was an epic Game 7, and what kind of post game did you have at 95-7 the game? What kinds of, outside of just elation from Warrior fans and maybe relief for some Warrior fans, what was the vibe like? Any great nuggets or vibes that you can share with us?
A lot of relief, I think, from the Warrior fan base. I don't think there's much doubt about it, given the way this series played out. It was, some post games, and you know this because you've done a lot of them in your years. Some post games are about the X's and O's. Some post games are about what's the headline going to be, and then there's other post games where you just pause and you think back and you go, somebody that was in Golden One Center this afternoon, and you think, man, that's a game that I'm going to remember probably for the rest of my life, because it was such a spectacular Stephen Curry performance. You've got one of the all-time great players in a do-or-die moment that completely put his team on his back and refused to allow them to go home, and basically put enough pressure throughout the game on the Kings to where the defense and Kevon Looney's crashing of the offensive glass just took the Kings' will in that third quarter. They made the Kings have to match them to a point from just a physical and mental standpoint to where the Kings eventually broke. And it looked like maybe this thing was going the other way after Game 6, and maybe the Kings had a little something on them from a physicality standpoint or from an energy, youthful legs standpoint. But Curry was having none of that. And, you always look at, and one of my big questions on the pregame show today at 95.7 was, who's going to be the guy that comes along and helps Steph get to the finish line? Steph's going to have a big game. Well, today, is from a scoring standpoint, Steph was the 1 and the 2. He had his 30, and then he had 20 that somebody else didn't get in this game. So he just took 2 slots as far as carrying. And then, Klay Thompson, I thought the 4-point play at the end of the third quarter was huge, because the Warriors are doing all this stuff that they're defending, they're getting all these rebounds, but nobody other than Curry can hit a freaking shot. And Klay finally hits that deep 3, gets fouled, 4-point play. And I'll tell you, the difference between the Warriors being up 6 and being up 10 into the third, 6 would have felt, in my mind, like they didn't make the most
game
of what they did. And we've seen the Kings can wipe 6 points out in 30 seconds. So at that point, the Kings would have, I think, felt like they had a lot of life going to the fourth, but that was just a gut punch. And I think Klay deserves a lot of credit, Larry, for he was 1 for 10, and he was having a bad game, but he took a look in the mirror. I don't know, at halftime, or Steve Kerr said something to him, but in the second half, he did everything else and quit worrying about his shot. And then he made a couple of big shots, including that 4-point play. But he ends up a game high plus 30, which you can't do unless you're staying composed in a moment where we've seen Klay just break off and have terrible games over the course of this season since he returned. He didn't do that today. And, you look at the line and you go, bad line. Yeah, maybe it was a bad line, but Klay had a game that impacted winning at the highest level, and the Warriors needed that. And I think you could make the same case for Wiggins, who looked like he was losing his legs as this series went on, as he's tried to come back from the layoff, but he just ground through it and ended up with defense and hustle and rebounding. That was really the story. It was Curry, 1 and 2. It was Looney, and then it was just the Warriors grinding out a win to break the Kings' spirit to a point where they didn't quit, but they just realized they weren't going to have enough, I thought, early in that fourth quarter.
I think Mike Brown's a great guy, and I think Mike Brown did a tremendous job this year. But I think Mike Brown fucked up in Game 7 because it was obvious Clay wasn't feeling it. Had a nightmarish first half. Wiggins, it almost at times in this game it felt like there was like a top on the basket. I mean, he just didn't look comfortable. He just looked nervous. Looney's not an offensive player. Green is not really much of an offensive player. The Warriors are not getting a lot off the bench offensively. Kuminga's giving him nothing. Payton's giving him very little. Poole's been hugely disappointing. Moody's given him a little bit, but even DiVincenzo's offense is down. And they waited so long to trap Steph Curry. If they had started trapping Steph Curry earlier and did it with more consistency, I think they would have tired him out more. They would have frustrated him into a few more turnovers, and he would not have been able to have this 50-point performance. I thought when they did finally trap him consistently, it started to work. But at that point, the Warriors had a 21-point lead, and the game was done. I mean, the game was decided in the third quarter, and I was shocked that it took Brown, especially when it was so obvious that Curry was going to shoulder the load and put this thing on his back. And why not? Not every sport, like in baseball, you can pitch around a guy, but for the most part, you've just got to go with what you got to face the team you're facing. In basketball, you can send two guys at a guy and force the ball out of his hands and make somebody else beat you. They waited until they were down 17, 18 points to even try it. It worked, but it was too late.
Yeah, I think there were two things as to just observations as to why maybe they didn't. I think Mike maybe was saving it, and he thought that it was going to be a closer game. I think he got bit. I think he was saving it for the fourth quarter, and he was hoping and thinking there that it was going to be still a two possession game at worst in the fourth quarter. And I think he wanted to really do it in a more frantic stretch. And all of a sudden they got down 10. And I think that's the point at which he probably should have been doing it at the latest, early in that fourth quarter. The other catch-22 with that, though, Larry, is I think he liked the fact that the others for the Warriors were down, and I don't think he wanted to give the Warriors an opportunity to play 4-on-3, if Steph starts passing it out and Draymond or Looney or somebody is holding it, because I don't think he trusted his other defenders to be able to hold up behind Steph. So you send two out at Steph, he kicks it to Draymond or Looney, you're playing 4-on-3, and I think one of the big stories of this series for the most part, Game 6 was different because the spacing got out of whack for the Warriors, but they were able to pick the Kings apart in those 4-on-3 type situations for layups and dunks. And I think Mike Brown feared that was going to allow some of the other players who were down to get into a little bit of a rhythm. But I'm kind of with you at the beginning of the fourth quarter, but I think he just got caught on the timing and wanting to find the right time to go for it.
Also, was there a Kerr adjustment that you think swung this series? I thought there were several moves I really liked. I liked the way they defended Sabonis. I liked how they just that one wrinkle of leaving him to an extreme. I think mentally bothered him to the point where he became kind of a ball stopper without even really knowing it because he was just so hesitant. And then it also kind of made him want to take those set shots. And, I don't know about you, but every time he's loaded up to take that shot, I was like, shoot it, big boy. Let's see it, because it looks so It looks so developmental, doesn't it? I mean, he shoots the ball so slowly. It reeks of no confidence, and I just think it killed Murray a little bit because Murray plays off of Sabonis, and it hurt Sabonis' ability to distribute. And I thought that was a nice wrinkle. And then also I thought the announcers made a comment, JD, in the second half about how they felt that Sabonis was taking the wrong approach on the rebounding. Because he was kind of front guarding, he was turning his back on the ball, and he didn't know where it was. And Looney had sight of the ball and was just using his long arms and kind of reaching around him and over him. Looney just took this thing over in the third. It was staggering to watch.
He did, and I agree. We got a comment there that says Looney's rebounding broke the Kings' spirit, and I can see that on the screen here, and I think that point is spot on. Here's the deal about the center matchup. The Warriors won the center matchup in this series. Looney won the matchup over Sabonis. Like, think about that coming into the series. At times, the Kings, Larry, were better when Sabonis wasn't on the court, including in Game 6 when he got in foul trouble and they went to Lyles at the 5 and spread the Warriors out, and the Warriors were having a really hard time keeping up with. Their defense was scattered. They were trying to rotate out to these shooters, and the Kings had all kinds of space, and Fox was commanding the game and driving and kicking. And the Warriors, they made the Warriors look cooked, to be honest, in a lot of ways. Like, we were talking about it a little bit, had a little text exchange, I think, yesterday. Like, hey, the Warriors might be in trouble if the Kings can continue to go to that. But here's the other part of it. Sabonis was the best Kings player in the regular season. He was their best player. So it wasn't like he was going to never be on the court, because he is such a big part of Keegan Murray and also Herter and just setting them up. And he's used to being able to bully the opponent. And he was not able to bully the Warriors and Kevon Looney and Draymond Green in this series. And I think, Fox got his, and Fox was terrific. And Fox was the second best player in the series and the best player for the Kings in the series. And I think we kind of knew through the Warriors' history that they have a much bigger, tougher time with guards that can get it done compared to either wing players that are kind of ball dominant or bigs. They've been able to make bigs pretty useless and at times, and they did it. Sabonis, really, his only positive impact on the series was the offensive rebounds. I mean, there were games where he had a lot of offensive rebounds, and it broke the Warriors' spirit, I thought, at times. And obviously getting Draymond suspended for Game 3. But I think, the Warriors winning the center matchup is something I wouldn't have expected. As far as adjustments and different things, and look, I'm not saying this to be mean or rude or crass or anything, because I know it was a heated part of our conversation. You look at going away from Kuminga was a must, and it helped the Warriors win the series. Like, it flat out helped the Warriors win the series. He was terrible in Game 2. He was terrible in Game 4. He didn't play again, I don't think, the rest of the series. Mop-up duty in Game 6. Like, he was just not a playable player. For all those that want to say Steve Kerr doesn't trust, he trusted Moses Moody, who had played a lot less than Kuminga in the regular season. He was just a steadier, better fit for this series. Now, Kuminga might be playing against LeBron James on Tuesday or Thursday.
Guru doesn't agree.
Well, and that's fine. And I know Cyrus doesn't agree.
I heard your segment with them the other day, and you're like, "Hey, before I leave, let me just."
I know. Yeah,
that was awesome.
Well, and people say, JD, why do you have the energy on Kuminga? Like, why do you take a certain tone? And
no,
I do.
Just that's just your belief. But you've stated that it could go different next round. Is it going to go different next round? Is Kuminga going to have a role in guarding the King?
I do. And I think the Warriors are, at least in the first 4 games of the series, Larry, they're going to have to play more players. I get it. Once the series starts to take shape and the Warriors were down 0-2. You can't go down 0-2 and mess around with this guy and that guy. You got to play the guys you trust. You got basically 2 games to play with, maybe 3 if it's 2-1, or if it's 1-1 after 2. Once it gets into the game 4, you got to know at that point who you're going to trust until further notice. First 3-4 games of this series, I think Kerr's going to have to play more players to try and make up a little bit of the fact that he had to go so hard with the main guys just to win this series. So I do think it opens the door. Moody is somebody now. Is he the best matchup for the Lakers series? I'm not sure, but he showed that he was competent enough to help them against the Kings. So I think that gives him another opportunity in the next series and maybe a different role. I think Kuminga gets an opportunity in a different role. I'll also, just going back real quick on the things from, adjustments, the change in Steph Curry's rotation and matching Fox. I know we mentioned that a couple of different times. It limited Fox's ability to go on those little runs where he took the game over when Curry wasn't out there to stabilize the Warriors. I thought that it dared Mike Brown to change Fox's rotation also, to put him in different, which would have altered everything the Kings do. And the Kings have been such a continuity-driven team this year because they've got that same 8 that plays basically the same roles every night, that I don't think Mike Brown wanted to mess with it. I think he thought it would have thrown everything else off. And so in a way, believe it or not, changing Curry's rotation limited a little bit of De'Aaron Fox's ability to dominate because he wasn't out there going up against a lesser team, because Curry wasn't out there, on the other end to help the Warriors match when Fox would take the game over. And I do think you have to give Kirk credit for fixing, because I didn't know. And I said this to you, and I said, I asked probably 30 different people, either sources or media members or friends or just, people that watch the game coming off of Game 6. Was Game 6 more the Warriors weren't locked in? Was Game 6 more the Warriors were kind of old and the Kings were taking it to them to a point to where the Warriors may not have enough left in the tank to finish it? And I got a bunch of different answers. There were a lot of people that thought, no, the Warriors weren't locked in. Where I want to give Kerr the nod, because he addressed it after the game as far as, what's the adjustment? And he said pregame, there are adjustments I'm not going to share with you that I'm going to make that we know, like we found it on the tape. And after the game, he shared it. And, it's something very simple, but it was spacing. It was offensive spacing. He said in Game 6 at the start, because of the different looks the Kings gave them, they just got too bunched up on the floor on offense, and everybody was in each other's way, and there was no room to operate, and they couldn't make – the Kings were able to defend, 2 players with 1 and 3 players with 2, and it was just kind of an all systems fail. Now, on the one hand, you could say, well, how come you can't figure that out in game? Because it was a problem the whole game for the Warriors. And there were some individual, I think, pretty bad performances for the Warriors by everybody on Friday night in Game 6. But for them to be able to, and it's such an important thing, to spacing on offense, but it's also a very simple thing to fix once you see it and you can get everybody in a room. And they had a film session at Chase, kind of overlooking the bay in this Bayview room that so they kind of tried to get everybody to loosen up and hey, we got to spread this thing out and make, don't let the Kings pack the paint. They got to guard people. So we're going to spread out how we set up our offense. We're going to make that first pass more crisp. Where is it? 7 turnovers. So all of the stuff. And there were 2 different points where I thought in this series, are the Kings are not a good defensive team. How are they defending the Warriors? And the one was after Game 6, and Kerr let the cat out of the bag that it was an easy fix with their spacing, which they got corrected. They got great shots today. Nobody made them except for Curry, but they got good looks today. So that part of it worked. Here's the other thing spacing does, Larry. Spacing allows you to be in the proper position to rebound. The Warriors spacing being out of whack in Game 6, I think, was part of why they looked a step slow and get into the boards and get into loose balls, because everything was just out of whack. And so the other time Kerr was the turnovers after, I want to say Game 2. He says, no, we looked at the film and I don't think the turnovers were their defense. I think the turnovers were the Warriors, them not getting into their offense right. And I kind of laughed, like, I don't know. But then they come out in Game 3, 4, and 5, and they buttoned up, get into their offense, and they're able to create enough of a layup line. And I wondered at times if the Warriors were going to have enough discipline to keep doing it over and over and over, because they're so used to being able to take these shots that they make and other teams don't. And I thought it may bite them in the ass, but they figured it out. So the turnover fix and the spacing fix, I thought were critical from Game 6 to Game 7.
Yeah, one thing that came across too is that the Warriors were very disciplined in making the extra pass today. They passed up several good shots to get a great shot. And the higher percentage looks. I mean, and how many of the close up shots did not fall? It was a staggering amount. Last one, because I'm going to call it quits because I got to walk the dog here. But
Nice.
Draymond Green.
I'm going to go have a margarita because this has been a hell of a series. Man.
Oh, it's been incredible. It's been an incredible weekend. Is Draymond Green? Just if you're Sacramento, do you go after Draymond Green? I mean, in some ways, I think Draymond Green is exactly what they need. They need to make themselves uncomfortable to get to that next level. Draymond Green will make them uncomfortable. He'll challenge them. He'll be that guy that, I mean, the Warriors, I mean, Mike Brown, I don't know if you were watching on TV, but Mike Brown at one point said to his guys, they're beating us to all the 50-50 balls. They want it more than us. And that was in the third quarter. It was absolutely clear as day. The Warriors took this thing over in the third quarter. They out-rebounded Sacramento 22-9 in that third quarter, and they took the game. They absolutely took it. Looney almost single-handedly took it by beating them on the offensive glass. It was so unbelievable to watch. I think Sacramento's pivot is to try to go after Draymond Green. I'm sure Green would love a stalking horse, but what do you think? And if you were there, so and you're from there, so what was the vibe like? Were the Kings fans? Were the Kings fans crushed on the way out? Were they like, hey, you know what? It's been a great season, and this game should not deter our thoughts on that in any way. And then you could in addition to that, you could answer this one. Hey, Kings fans, who do you got in the second round, Warriors or Lakers? Will Kings fans root for the Warriors or the Lakers in round 2 in your mind? And give me the vibe on what kind of vibe it was for the fans as they were shuffling out.
It's a tough choice, I think, but it's also an easy choice. I think it's a tough choice because the Warriors just knocked them out, but there is no fan base that the Kings fan base hates more than the Laker fan base. And it goes all the way back to 2002 and the last Game 7 that Sacramento hosted in that Western Conference Final Series. And the Lakers won a thriller in overtime with Kobe and Shaq and went on to win their third championship. It may take to like Game 3 for Kings fans to come out and want to watch basketball again because it's all too soon, maybe. But I think they'll be pulling for the Warriors when push comes to shove. As far as the vibe in the arena, it was spectacular through the 4 games. I think it did, though, get a little tight. There were 3 games in the series where in this building where the Warriors started to take control. Game 1, they were up 10 late in the third. And remember, the Kings had the big run at the end of the third to take the lead going to the fourth. And the place was bonkers from there on out. But when the Warriors went up 10 in Game 1, when the Warriors went up 10-12 in Game 5, when the Warriors went up 8-10 today in that third quarter, all 3 of those times, there was almost a collective sense in the building of, this is it. This is where it ends. Like, it's been fun. We've had a great year. I love our team, but this is where it's
midnight
because we've been watching this team do that to everybody, and now it's our turn. And so I do think there was almost a weird and in the first 2 games it didn't happen, right? Like, it looked like it might, and then it didn't, and I think that made the people here all the more euphoric. And then in Game 5 it did. And I know a lot of people were talking about the funeral that was coming in Game 6. Didn't happen. Have to give the Kings credit for playing an unbelievable game in Game 6. But yeah, and I think the other overarching theme from the building was that they were watching something spectacular. The most points ever scored in a Game 7 in NBA history is what Steph Curry did. The greatest playoff scoring game of Steph Curry's career. So if an all-time great takes you out in a Game 7 because he had an all-time great performance and you haven't been to the playoffs in 17 years, I think at that point at least this time you can say, all right, great year. Greatness beat us and we'll move on to the next. As far as the Draymond thing, I'm with you on that. And I've actually mentioned that to a few people. Like, would he come there or here in Sacramento where I am? And I don't know. The Kings, I think, would have to make some decisions as far as they probably would have to move off of Harrison Barnes, I think, to create the room that it would take to do that. I think there's some wonder if the fit with him and Sabonis would work, although I say hell with that. I mean, Bogut and Draymond worked. Now, you couldn't finish always with Bogut and Draymond, and the Warriors would go small and win games doing it that way. But as far as just the skill set, the Kings need defenders, and they need a guy that's a little bit of an asshole. And so I think Draymond would fill that void on both counts. But
JD calls Draymond no.
In a good way.
JD calls Draymond an asshole on the Krug show.
Somebody in the Warriors a long time ago, I can't remember. I think somebody wrote a story about it and cited a Warriors source, and I can't remember. It might have been Ethan Strauss. It was like somebody had said, you can have one asshole on any team or in any organization, but you can't have two. And so the Warriors got away with Draymond being around for years because he was the only one. It was a bunch of nice guys. So, yeah. But, yeah, he, from a basketball standpoint, they got to figure out what they want to do. I think they may have not to get lost in the weeds on them, but I think they may have a Sabonis problem in the playoffs. So, like in the regular season, he can be your best player and Fox can do his thing and the pieces all fit. But Sabonis did get exposed, I think, a little bit if you want to be a team that you can win around with Sabonis. But if you're going to be a team that's going to contend for a championship with Sabonis, get to a conference finals with Sabonis, I think that's where it might get a little more problematic for the Kings. They're not quite to that decision point yet, but they need some wing defenders. They need to figure out how to maintain their offensive prowess while also getting better defensively. That's the one goal. Offense was fun and cute and great, and they were super clutch. And they were fun to watch, and they played their ass off all year. Hat tip to them. Mike Brown did a hell of a job, but they have to maintain enough of the offense while also becoming a better defensive team if they want to be a team that wants to make the next step and advance a round or hell, maybe even two next year.
Last question. Actually, Fish and Chips is asking a question. He says, random question, Kentucky Derby coming up. Have you two ever been? I've never been to Churchill Downs. You ever been to Churchill Downs?
I haven't. It's a bucket list one for me. There's a few of them for me that just all time. And I've been lucky enough to cover Super Bowls and NBA Finals and Stanley Cup and 3 World Series and all that.
Final Four.
Kentucky Derby is one that I haven't. Final Four is one that I haven't as well. The Masters is probably up there, and then the Indy or Daytona 500s would be up there. I've heard both the Indy 500 and Daytona 500 are just a freaking party. So yeah, fun to be at. Maybe not to cover, but just to go be at and throw back a few on a weekend. Those are my JD haven't quite done it yet bucket list, but the Derby's definitely on there.
I'll tell you, one of my favorite sporting events that I'm from afar that I haven't gone to, and I should because it's in Sacramento almost every year, it seems like, is when the first round of the tournament comes up and you can buy that ticket to go see 4 games.
I have done that.
I've gone to 2. I've gone to 2. I've never gone to 4. I'd like to go buy it for the 4 games and check that out. They do that at Golden One. JD, last one. MF says, JD, what do you think of the Niners draft class? Have you had any I know you've been immersed in Warriors and the station's been immersed in Warriors. Have you guys allowed yourselves to peel a wandering eye to the Niners and what they did? I know you're all Niners in Niner season, but it's the Warrior playoff run right now, so you're distracted. So what? But I know you got something. So give me something.
I will say this. They took a kicker. They took a kicker in the 3rd round. A kicker, like
a kicker.
Jim Tomsula. Remember the Jim Tomsula with
Joan and payroll.
Jay Feely was doing the everything was going awry for the Niners in that one year where Tom Sula, 2015, was the head coach. And
Right.
remember, there was Jay Feely was the sideline reporter for CBS, and he had some report about job security. It was something that Tom Sula had said, and Jay Feely reported it during a broadcast, and then Tom Sula got asked about it, and Tom Sula was like, Jay Feely said, what? The kicker? Jay Feely? And it was one of the ultimate, like, this guy's way over his head kind of moments. Like, what the hell is Jay Feely? Like, he didn't even know Jay Feely was the sideline reporter. And I think Jay Feely quoted something back that Tom Sula had said to him, and he couldn't remember what it was. Anyway, so that was they took a kicker. I will be honest. That's tomorrow. That's a tomorrow thing for me, is digging into the Niner draft and all the profiles and everything. And you're right. Usually as soon as the Warriors end, whenever it is, it's been June a lot, I dive right into the Niners, and I basically do recon on the offseason, because I'll be honest with you, I know you love the offseason and the draft and the back end of the roster. Like, that's one of your premier skill sets, and I love listening to you talk about it.
That's where I nerd out.
You help me figure things out. It's not one of mine, and so I do play catch up kind of in the downtime of the summer in everything that happened in the off season in greater detail. But I'll say this for Moody, the kicker, another Moody in the Bay, by the way. It's so interesting because it would be, and this is going to be cynical, but I think you kind of know where it would be so on brand for the Niners to draft the kicker in the third round, and then they're playing all these close games, and he's missing kicks, and it becomes a thing. And Shanahan's got to address it. And, like, the rest of the team is awesome, and it looks like everything else is fitting. But then, like, down 2, here's the game-winning kick after, Trey Lance.
Jake Money Moody
shank from 42, and then Shanahan's got to answer for taking a kicker in the third round. Like, it just
I know.
For everything the Niners have gotten right, and they've gotten a lot right over the years, the draft, they've had some weird bad draft picks, and there's just going to be such a target on him. He better be every bit of what Robbie Gould was, because and like for the next 20 years, right? Because it's like remember when the Raiders took Janikowski in the first round, and it's like,
I do,
and it's insane. But Janikowski was a damn good kicker for like 20 years, so it's like, if you're going to do that, like, the guy better be one of the best kickers in the league for the next decade at least. And so, and can you imagine how pissed Shanahan would be when, I'm sure the scouts and everybody doing the evaluation, I'm guessing Shanahan wasn't highly involved in watching these guys kick or watching the kicker tape and all that over the draft prep, but you know how it works. I'm sure there were a bunch of people in the organization that were like, look, if we take this guy, it's a home run for the next decade. And Shanahan, knowing him, was probably like, you know what? I don't really want to do this, but you know what? It's your asses. So you've convinced me. I trust you. But if this doesn't work, this is all of your asses. If I got to stand up at the podium on Sunday and Monday and talk about a guy that can't make game-winning kicks or make field goals to help us win games. So it's one of those weird kind of pivot point moments in a lot. Pivot point's probably too strong, but pivot point just in terms of that could get really ugly. If I could just see week 8 and the Niners are 4-4. And Moody's missed a couple of kicks where they should be 6-2, and the Niners are bringing in kickers off the street on a Tuesday in the back of Levi's to see who can get it through the uprights to make it through, Sunday Night Football at Arizona the coming week or whatever the hell it is.
What will be the over-under on the number of Bay Area sports talk show hosts that make snide comments about Jake Money Moody? If he's suddenly not money.
How many hosts are there in the Bay now? Like 12 or 15?
So the over-under is like 15.
I'm going to say if the over-under is 15, I'm setting it at 14.5.
Yeah, some guy who fills in will go with that. Some guy, just coming in for the day will be like, yeah, I was watching Jake Money Moody miss the other day.
Yeah,
good stuff.
To win games.
So, JD, tomorrow on 95.7 The Game, when are you scheduled to appear? If people are in the chat here and they want to check you out tomorrow, when and where will you be?
Yeah, the usual with Steiny and Guru. We made this thing a thing. 12:30, 1 o'clock, depending upon the rest of their show. We'll do a half hour. We'll recap the series, what we got right, what we got wrong, that kind of a thing, and just reset the spectacular Steph Curry performance from this one. And then I'm back with Warriors Live pregame on Tuesday. That's going to be 6 o'clock with the pregame. And hey, there's another series. These games are coming every other day. Looking forward
it's awesome.
to it.
I mean, I don't know how you feel, but I mean, I don't get nervous for basketball playoffs. Maybe I should. I get a little nervous maybe in the baseball playoffs or the football playoffs, especially not in the first round. I was very confident the Warriors would win this series. I just always felt like even if it was Game 7 on the road, they could do it. But I will say this, it's really cool. I really wanted the Warriors to win today. Why? Because every time we have one of these post games, this thing gets, we'll get 5,000 views, 7,000 views. I mean, it grows the channel. The radio station. I wanted it for the radio station, for you, for Steiny, for Guru, for all my friends over there, for Matt Nahagian and all those guys, because I know that if the Warriors story goes away, some portion of the audience goes away. Not that 95.7 needs to worry. They're on top right now.
A little deeper, Larry. We're digging into that 90-man depth chart a little deeper, a little quicker.
A little deeper without the Warriors. Yeah. So, I mean, and also just, to me, what I would like to see a long run. Give me Warriors Lakers, then give me Warriors Nuggets, then give me Warriors in the finals. And if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But I would love a long playoff run where we have 20, 30 shows, 20 post-game shows to chop it up with everybody and have fun, because it really is cool and it's a lot of fun. I love doing the baseball post-game and the football post-game, but the NBA playoff post-game, there's something about a series that's awesome. You get to know the other team a little bit. You start to really dislike the other team. You don't get that same vibe in football until the games come and go so fast. So anyway, I'm looking forward to the Warriors having a deep run, and at least here we now get another 10 days of Warrior dialogue and maybe more. So bring it on. I'm glad they're moving on.
Looking forward to it. And yeah, this series is going to be every other day. It's funny, this series, from the time we knew it was going to happen to the time it ended. So you go back to the last day of the regular season, and remember, everybody was jockeying for who was going to play whom, and it ended up being Warriors Kings. That was basically, it was 3 weeks from the moment we knew the series was going to happen until the series ended, almost to the minute. It was about 3 o'clock on that Sunday 3 weeks ago on the 9th, and the thing ends at about 3 o'clock on the 30th. This series, if it goes the distance, is going to take 12 days. It's going to take 12 days because every game is every other day, and I'm looking forward to it. And I'm going to be in LA for the games next weekend, and as I've been the last few years, I'm going to be on the road covering this team as well as far as they go. So got the flight booked, got the hotel booked. Looking forward to that, and absolutely loving the opportunity to join you guys as well here as often as I can.
Oh, man, we really enjoy having you. Ken C says, JD, can you sing In the Air Tonight by Phil Collins like last Friday? Did you actually sing In the Air Tonight?
I went background.
I need to know more about this.
Background with Willard and Dibbs. I didn't understand the context. I guess they were all, hey, series is over. I can feel it coming in the air. And they just belted it out. I'm probably not singing again. I don't think it set a good tone for the Warriors in that Game 5. So I'm scrapping that one. I think everybody needs to own that was a fail at the station. Yes, LAX does suck. I've been there a bunch of times.
Flying to John Wayne and drive. It's probably a better idea. And we got this one. It was all Steinmetz. So there you go. Yeah, JD, good stuff, man. Hey, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Get that cocktail in you. You're a phenomenal analyst. Keep it rolling. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, Larry.
Peace, brother. There you go. JD, John Dickinson. He is phenomenal. All right, we're going to play a couple spots, and we have a bunch of starred chats to get to. How many do I have? 35 starred chats. The 35 best chats of the day throughout the last 3 hours of this show. They're coming next. But first, a word from our sponsor on The Krug Show. We're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, 2 locations, Emeryville and Corte Madera. Here's what their place looks like in Marin.
We grew up with a Sunday dinner. That means no matter how busy you were, no matter where the hell you were, you came to dinner on a Sunday night. Yeah, Sunday dinner without sausage, it's like a church without God. You know, how can you go to church if you don't believe in God? You know, and along with the sausage also became the discussions. That was discussion night. You know, it wasn't a typical family that you sit there and you're quiet, you know, and you don't talk with a mouthful. Oh no, man. Italians talk when they're eating. Italians even talk when they're sleeping. And definitely we talk with our hands. So if we can't express it through our mouth, through our lips, we express it with our hands. So, and that's what sausage is, really. It's an expression, you know, that life is good.
All right, we're coming down the home stretch on the Krug Show. Thanks to everybody who's hung with us the entire show, has been hanging for 3+ hours. Thank you very much for supporting the Krug Show. All right, let's go to the starred chats. Kevin F. says, haven't heard from my brother in Folsom in a minute. Something tells me he's probably hiding out. All right, let's go to the top senior softball games. Congrats to the Warriors. Overcoming Fox's broken finger was simply too much. The Lakers will dominate the Warriors. Hope they can rebuild quickly because this playoff series was fun. I don't know, man. I think you're being too soft on Mike Brown. The Warriors had nothing going except for Looney rebounding and Curry shooting, and you let them win a game where Curry got all these shots off and Looney got all these rebounds. Block out one guy and double Steph and take your chances. Mike Brown didn't do it. I think it's on Mike Brown. And I like Mike Brown. But that's just how I feel about it. We got this one. Brandon Simmons. Looney was amazing today. No doubt. No doubt. Spencer Alsey. Larry was right. I'm at work, so I can't be in here. If you had said I was wrong, I'm sure I wouldn't have read it. Joseph Lee. Joe Lee. What's up, Joe Lee? Says, hey, Larry, what's with your bro Chris? Rooting for the Kings? Traitor! Traitor! Ha, ha, ha. Joe Lee's my brother's buddy from high school. Good to see you, Joe. Hope you're doing well, bro. Mitchell and Ness. Wish we had a 2-day rest before the Lakers series, but at least we have home court. I know. Bring it on. Maple Noob. Why didn't you cowards talk about the loss in Game 6 2 days ago? We did. You started the show with the draft because the draft was going on. Bandwagon fans when you guys win, but when you lose, there's nowhere to be found. All right. Whatever floats your boat, bro. Damian McCurry loves Cy, Rye, Larry, and Frank. You don't love Carl? You don't love Baller? Alex Breitler. We want Cy. We want Cy. You had Cy. We brought him. Eddie K, 24. Larry, have you and your brother spoken yet since the finale of the game? No. I don't plan to anytime soon. No, I'm just joking. Damian Mercury, Kuminga is not a bust. He just needs to play like his hair's on fire instead of looking like he's always trying to conserve energy. Look at Moody and his energy when he's in the game. Amen, brother. I agree with that wholeheartedly. I am Larry Krueger, and I endorse that message. 49er Faithful, super chat. Whoever gave Poole 30+ million deserves getting fired. Seriously, that's just a terrible contract. MF, Larry and Dan, you guys hear Kapler's in-game interview? No, what'd he say? Oh, my God. I didn't watch the Giants at all today. What's the deal? You talking about yesterday's game? I have to look that up. What'd he say? What'd he say, MF? Get back in the chat. Let me know. Ashley, hey, guys, I came in late, but you think bench plays better next season? They needed an all-star performance from Curry. Looney to get it in 7 against the Kings. He needs help. Yeah, they need to play better. The bench needs to give the Warriors more than they have, for sure. Nick J says Warriors had 7 turnovers. They won't lose a game again this season if they stay 7 or under turnover-wise. It's probably right. Digital Drew, Steph to the Sacramento crowd at the 6:23 stoppage in the fourth quarter. You're not ready for this shit. You're not ready. Assassin. I love it. Digital Drew, great one. Bring Digital Drew back for another one. Wiggins hasn't been back for 10 games yet, Larry. Have to keep that in context. Yeah, he looked bad today at times. Brandon Simmons, when Steph gets into killer mode, nothing else matters. It's game over. Sure was today. Derek says they jinxed themselves when they were up 2-0 saying it was going to be a sweep. Get the fuck out of here. Kings fans got excited. It's a long series. MF, Larry, go back and watch the Giants game and see the Kapler mid-game interview with Flem. Really? It's that good? I got to find out. Somebody needs to tell me more about that. J-Tan, apparently Rob Pelinka is watching the Larry Krueger show. Ray, for days, I think people are sleeping on the Lakers. They got rid of the Grizzlies in 6. Looney's not getting 20 rebounds on Anthony Davis. I just don't see that happening. I think the Lakers are a bit deeper. Noted. We'll see. MF, heard the Giants weren't happy with the Mexico trip. Why? Ball was jumping. I enjoy watching offense. SF Giants Mania. Love your show, Larry, but it's now the end of the weekend and Trey Lance didn't get traded. Just saying. All right. I guess I was wrong. Senior softball games. Larry called the Lakers being maybe the best team after the trade deadline. I did think they were going to be good, and they have been good. Fish and chips. Keep JD, forget the dog. Oh, poor Penny. Penny wants to go for a walk right now. She's sitting there looking out the window. MF, Ronald Awatt, a sleeper. Yeah, I did a video, and I'm not sure if it's out yet, but I taped one on Ronald Awatt, the running back from UTEP. Really like him. Undrafted free agent. Niners got 3 or 4 undrafted free agents that are amazing. Go check out Deshaun Jameson from Texas. Or maybe the best name of all, what's his, Jadakiss. Jadakiss Bonds, the receiver from Hampton. Can't wait to see him in camp. Jadakiss Bonds. Is that a name or what? And the guy's got serious game. Devin F said, Larry doing live streams while posting clips. It's about having a staff. It's a team effort here at the Krug Show. That's right. You're not just up against me, baby. You're up against me and my team. And my team is good. Sal Jezzy says, Draymond on the Kings will be exactly what the Kings need. I agree. Losova. Larry, do you think Draymond Green would excel at coaching? I know that he would. But he would excel at anything. Guy's genius. Fish and chips. Random question. Kentucky Derby coming up. Have you been? We already hit that one. No, we haven't been. I haven't been. JD hadn't been. Damian Mercury. Damn, I got disconnected for a while. I missed Dan going to his backyard live. Now I can't get on his case. It's like a nice little AstroTurf backyard. Larry loved the draft profile videos. Thank you, MF. Appreciate you. My son helps me put them together. Of course, I do all the talking, but he does all the editing. And we're proud of it. We're proud of it for sure. Check them out, everybody. On the Krug Show, click on videos. I've done a bunch. I'm going to do a bunch tonight. MF, let's evaluate Gabe Kapler's in-game interview today when he took off the headset and talked to the umpire. Oh, man. Gabe. Fish and chips. They were going to draft the Shepherd guy, but they're talking about Joey Fisher, but they gutted it out and then signed him within 30 minutes after the draft. Yeah, I did a Joey Fisher video that's gotten lots of views. Lots of views. You see exactly what it's gotten. It's gotten a lot. I did a Joey. You got to check out this kid, Joey Fisher, and he's a great story. He went from being 3 years as a locksmith to coming out and, having this whole deal where he's now found his way back to college. He left Towson State. His dad was a locksmith. He worked in the trade for 3 years, and then he found his way back as a tight end. They quickly moved him to offensive line. Niners, Mel Kiper said that Niners were going to draft him in the 3rd round. He went undrafted. They signed him after the draft. Great steal. Great steal by the 49ers. Remember that name, Joey Fisher. Kind of short arms, but man, he's really, really good. Let's see. Yeah, my Joey Fisher video. Wow. The Joey Fisher video has been viewed 16,000 times in the last day alone. It's entitled 49ers sign UDFA offensive lineman Joey Fisher. It's been viewed 16,000 times in a day. Wow. A stadium of people have watched that freaking video. It's crazy. Mark Hope, Larry, I'm very upset at Tyro Estrada. Why is that? He says, on the play that Yaz came all the way in from deep center to shallow left center and pulled his hamstring on, Estrada looked out but had no clue where the ball was. It happens. It happens. I'm sure it wasn't intentional. Charles Michael Sinclair, Gabe managed the bullpen horribly today. I taped it. I got to go back and watch. We got this one from Fish and Chips. What happens to my monument chat? What happened to my monument chat? I don't know. Let me see. Did you throw one in here that I didn't read? Fish and Chips. Was it a super chat, or was it just a monument chat that I didn't get a chance to read? If it's a super chat, I must not have seen it. The one thing about this chat that's so difficult, it's linear, it's straight down the line. So you can when on days when there's 400 or 500 people in the room, the chat can come so fast that it can get away from you. MF says, Larry, would love to hear Ned Coletti on soon. Noted. I will get him on this week. I'll give him a call. I'll send him a text after the show. Joe Schmo, Krug Show postgame is must watch. MF, Joey Fisher video gets more views than when Ned comes on. Well, you got to remember it's the draft, and it's the Niners. The Niners is the biggest story. As much as we love to talk about the Warriors and the Giants, MF, It's the Niners. It's absolutely the Niners. Fish and Chips says monument for being a member. Well, I mean clapping for you. I definitely am glad that you're a member. Thank you for being a member. Robert Rothberg says, why blame Kapler for all these losses? The Giants are far from done. All right, easy, Cap's burner account. All right. Niner Joe. Go Kings, go Niners. See, what do we have in common? The Niners. You may like the Kings. I may like the Warriors. What do we share? Our love for the Niners. Let's all go talk Niner football. Kings fans, call up your favorite Warrior fan and invite him out to a bar and just go talk Niners. Maybe that's the way to get over this series. Warrior fans, call Kings fans. Call your buddies that are Kings fans and say, bro, I know it's been a rough couple weeks. What do you say me and you get a beer and just go talk Niners? All right, let's do it. No basketball talk. Deal. Charles Michael Sinclair. Long story short, Doval, 5-out save, 2 on, Giants lose. Oh, man. As I said, I DVR'd it. I was so into the Warriors today and producing draft videos that I haven't gone my deep dive on the Giants yet today, but I'll watch it. I watch them all. I'm that guy who stays up late after the show's over and watches the game. I may have to speed through it, but I'll speed through it if I have to, but I'm going to watch it. I will absolutely watch it. Max Thunder says, we can talk Niners or we can talk crap on the Giants. How did we get over the Kings-Warriors series? Well, we started talking shit about the Giants together, and we made us all feel better. Eric Hernandez, same old sorry-ass Giants. When is Ned coming back on? This week. I had so much football last week. I was like, come on. I'm going to talk Ned Coletti in the middle of football draft week, and you know me, I'm all immersed in that shit, and I was getting into it, and it was Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I'm doing live streams. Then the Warrior playoffs going on Friday night. It was just a circus. It was a hot night. Warriors, draft. I mean, it was everything. And then, a lot of people got pissed in that live stream Friday night. The Warrior fans wanted me to not talk about the draft at all. The draft fans wanted me to not talk about the Warriors at all. And it seemed like every time we went to talk about something, we were pissing somebody off. Kevin F. says, Grant Napier wrap-up show? Yeah, maybe tomorrow morning. I sent him a text to invite him today, but he couldn't make it. Maybe he had his own show. We'll see. We'll get him on tomorrow, maybe, and do one little end of the series deal and a little preview on Warriors-Lakers. Robert Rothberg, just a reminder, the Giants are only 4 games out of first place. Robert, it's only April 30th. MF says, Lamont Wade Jr. has an elite OPS. Yeah, Lamont Wade's hitting about 250. He's doing much better than I thought. Maybe last year was just about injuries for him. Chardal says, Viliami Fehoko was selected by the Dallas Cowboys for the 129th pick of the 2023 NFL Draft. Yeah, I saw that. Junior Fajoko's a Cowboy. It does not make me happy. All right, guys. Thanks to our sponsors. Thanks to all of you. Thanks for helping us get to 17,000. We're at 17,000 subs. We've only been doing this for a little bit over a year. Just want to thank everybody. Very, very encouraged by the momentum that the channel has demonstrated, and want to thank all the people who help out, most notably my son Kevin and Len Dempsey, who are key figures in this channel for sure. Thanks to Danny, thanks to Rye, thanks to Red, thanks to Baller today, thanks to Cy and Carl, and we got a lot coming up this week. We're going to do a bunch of stuff. We'll be all over Warriors, Lakers on Tuesday night. Check back for that. Thanks to everybody. Have a great rest of your day. Mark Hope says, congratulations on 17,000 subs, Larry. Legend. Appreciate you. Senior softball games, good show. Congrats to you and your Warriors. Thank you. Fish and Chips. Larry, longtime listener, you are respected. Thank you. And Mark Hope says, shout out Kevin Krueger. There you go. Even Joe Schmo. Shout out to Junior Krug. He's a good kid. Good kid. Good young man, I should say. All right, that's going to do it for us. Thanks. Have a great rest of your day. Check out all the videos I have on the 49ers in their draft weekend at the Krug Show under videos, and there are more coming. I see my Niner flag. Oh, by the way, Breezy sent me a brand new flag. So that flag that's blowing down off the side there over my left shoulder, that's going to be moving, and I've got a brand new Breezy Niner banner that's going up. So we got big changes on the horizon. Big changes. All right. Steph Curry, if you missed it, was unfucking believable. Amazing Game 7. Kevon Looney, unbelievable. These guys absolutely stepped up in the moment. It was incredible to watch. A stunning day today in Bay Area sports history. Hope you enjoyed the Krug Show. Until next time, peace.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you gon' get exactly what you asked for. Here for whatever you bring me, get it.